Tadamon is a community and a platform for civil society development that supports organizations in 57 countries, all members of the Organization of Islamic Cooperation. And in September and October this year, we kicked off a new webinar series called Tadamon Talks, during which we explore alternative finance for CSO empowerment. And it's a space for us to exchange insights and learnings on crowdfunding and, of course, many other topics, such as like promoting good practices and connecting with other leaders in the field of crowdfunding and alternative finance more generally. So last week we had our first talk, first Tadamon talk, which was on the topic of visual communication for crowdfunding. And our next Tadamon talk will be later this month. I'll share some details about this at the end of our workshop today. And today you're here for our Tadamon Masterclass. It's our very first one as well, which is a spin-off of our webinar series. It's basically an interactive hands-on workshop during which we do deep dives into a particular topic. So today is about visual communications. You're going to learn about how to apply basic principles of graphic design to your crowdfunding campaign visuals. We'll cover what online tools to use to create powerful visuals. We'll talk a little bit about visual strategies, some basic design tips and tricks, what not to do, what to avoid. So without further ado, I'm going to give the floor to Boyan. He's our website and graphic design specialist, and he'll be leading the workshop today. In the meantime, I'll also be dropping some links in the chat with regard to our Tadamon talks or newsletter. So feel free to note those links down as well. And if you have any questions during the workshop, it's all supposed to be interactive, so you can post them in the chat and we'll look at them and answer them as we go. So thank you.
Thank you, Svetla. Thanks for introducing everything so well. So my name is Boyan, and my mission here today is to show you like what is so specific for crowdfunding, designing for crowdfunding, and then but also what is really general design, 101s that you can always apply to your designs to make them better. Like I'm a communication specialist. I wouldn't say that I'm exactly a designer. So like there are designers that are better than me and that you can learn from, like that can match colors better, maybe that can choose fonts better, or maybe they can, But what I've learned through my, few, 5 or 6 years of working with this was that I learned a little bit about the vocabulary of what we're working with, what designers are working with, and just knowing what these things are can help you in your design a lot. And also it can help you kind of use the tools that were made for the designers to be able to do these things very easily. So without further ado, I would go to our agenda for today so that you know what we're going to do today. So I thought first to spend some time. There is how many of us are there right now here? Sorry, I don't see it because okay, 20. Okay, that would be cool. I thought maybe we could get to know each other. If you guys can get a little bit talkative, maybe to tell me about your crowdfunding ideas or just where you're coming from, but like very shortly, like maybe like in one sentence. If you can do it in one sentence, it's amazing. Then we're going to then I was going to go through some designing for crowdfunding specifics. So like looking at what do we have to like just keep in our brain first while we're thinking about design 101s that's specific to crowdfunding, right? And then we're going to get into the design basics, some things like logo and typography, and just talking about it and how it's important and what things you need to know about this, or even which things you need to know to be able to Google, I guess, better. Because for this course, we're assuming, that you are, beginners or slightly above beginner level. So we're going to cover everything. We're not going to leave anything. I'm going to try not to leave anything simple out. I think we should then take a break maybe of 10 minutes. And then just after this break, we can go into Canva, which is an amazing tool that you can do many of the things that you can do also in other tools. So first I would show you Canva, and then if you're interested, we can go into some other tools as well. But just to go through Canva, it will be some time for us to create at least 2 or 3 graphics so you can see how to do it, and then for you to do it. And the next thing will be for you to take to create an account on Canva. Okay, that takes 1 second, but then take 20 minutes to create something, and to create something maybe like 3 images. So while you're looking at this presentation, just think maybe like an Instagram story, or like something that you need, like a Kickstarter, like a Kitabisa image for the platform. So just have your campaign in mind as we're talking about this, and then we're gonna have a feedback and Q&A session of 10 minutes or plus, depends on how talkative you get and how tired I get at that time. Let's see if this will work now. I'm not sure if it will work, but I saw you here in the chat introducing yourself. Does anyone want to share some projects with us and say hi to me like a little bit, so it can be a little bit more interactive? I want to hear someone's voice.
Yes, hi.
Hi.
This is Lara. Maybe I'll start my video with.
Hi, Lara.
So that's me. I'm from Lebanon. My name is Lara Famoun, and I'm working right now. I've been running an NGO called Smile in a Box for like the past 8 years, and I'm also a graphic designer.
Okay.
Yeah, I know. Maybe I'm not sure how much I know more than you, maybe, but. I've been working as a graphic designer for the past like 25 years.
Oh my God, please, you are now the boss of this presentation from now on. Okay.
Okay, so I've done some graphics I've done the logo and everything for the NGO, and I've done a lot of campaigns. I can show you later if you want. And now we are working, I already applied for Tadamon. I already took the course for the crowdfunding page. And we did everything for it. We did a video. We did
cool.
We
Please
did some
put
graphics.
the links if we can see, so you can see.
Yeah, but it's still not online. It's only on my laptop.
Right,
so maybe I can share it later when we have time.
Okay. Yeah. Cool.
So
cool. Thank you.
so I would love to see what you have to.
Okay. Please interrupt me when I say something wrong or stupid. Okay.
Okay. Thanks.
Okay. Is there anyone else to share some project that they have or say hi?
Hello. This is Kaisar Iqbal from Pakistan, working with an NGO, naming Rural Community Development Society. We are working on poverty elimination through the implementation of different projects such as livelihood, health and education, and also building capacities of the farmer to convert from the conventional agriculture to the new technology such as off-season value crops. And I am here to learn more from you people so that we may be able to get connected to the outer world of the donors, so that we may also add value to our communities to make them more important.
Okay, I'm getting a bit of a static noise. I don't know if everyone is, but I think I heard most of what you said. Have you done any crowdfunding so far?
No. Okay. No, we couldn't get that.
Okay, cool. Well, thanks for speaking up. Is there anyone who has done any crowdfunding campaigns here with us right now?
Hi.
Hi.
My name is Raif. How can I open this? This is me. 1 second. Sorry for this.
No worries. Hi.
I'm Raif. I'm based actually in Istanbul. We have a foundation. We are mainly entitled to work with supporting educational services around the world, especially in the Middle East, you know, the situation right here. We tried to make previously some crowdfunding activities, but it's something related to laws and formal issues here in Turkey. Actually, I'm manager for this Hope Foundation for Education here in Istanbul, and we're trying to figure out what we have to consider when we are talking about this issue. So we will be happy to join you today.
Cool. Nice.
Thank you.
If no one else jumps in, I'm gonna, you know, go on. So if anyone to say hi, please, one more or no?
Yes,
Cool.
hello everyone. Yes, hello everyone. My name is Tiffany Jahara. So basically, I'm not a graphic designer, so all of this is new for me. And I've been working a lot on humanitarian activities and community service with many NGOs in Lebanon. And we have done some like crowdfunding campaigns, but it's small, it's not like a huge one, especially after the Beirut explosion. I'm sure you've heard about it. So we did a few campaigns, and when I saw this opportunity, I thought that it would be interesting to join, because we have to learn how to do it to be able to raise more funds. So yeah, so this is in short.
Cool.
Thank you.
All right. I'm waiting for the brave ones, but you know, like popcorn, when you put it in the microwave, you have to wait for 3 seconds, and then if there's no more popcorn, then you have to take it out. So that's how it is right now here, I think, with the brave people saying hi. But I was also asking because I want to get some ideas. Maybe we can work on some of your ideas, but I think I will stick to like dummy images and stuff when we get into Canva, because it's just 2 hours is not enough maybe to create a whole set of stuff. Unless anyone interrupts me. Okay, well, that's cool. I just wanted to get this feeling. I miss the feeling of being in rooms with people, you know, like talking. So like in school, you would first meet each other and then we would get into this stuff. Okay. I hope to meet the other ones later. What now this, we already had a couple of, as you heard, the webinar, and of course in the Crowdfunding Academy there is a course on this, or module, but we need, let's go, I would go quickly today only about what makes designing for crowdfunding unique, because in Tadamon we've been talking about it a lot, kind of, and but we can go through the main points, right? It's different than designing for something maybe else, or not, because you have to persuade. There's for crowdfunding, the thing is to persuade. So it's really it's not like an art form, it's more like a communication form. So I would say that's the main difference when we're designing for crowdfunding and when we're designing our own, like sort of something that's just for our heart, you know. And so there's this checklist that we came up, and does our design convey our message immediately and without thinking? So like when you have a crowdfunding idea, like your design, even the color and everything that's shining through in your the first impression has to immediately convey the message. This message can sometimes be a photo of a natural disaster, and then it's very, very clear to you what's going on, you know. But this message can sometimes be like a concept or something that you have to illustrate, and you have to work hard to bring it to the people. For example, yeah, using technology on a farm, right? You will always have to, it's not so easy to put like just a picture like of some like you know, computer chip next to a cow. You would have to display explain it very well. Does your design represent as well? So like very often people put on famous crowdfunding platforms, I would say, pixelated photos, which are which kind of reduce credibility of the people who are making the campaign. But sometimes if this photo is of an area that's in a really remote and far away and torn down by a hurricane, when you see a pixel, if you saw a perfect picture, it would also be weird, kind of like. So I guess that works for persuasion sometimes, but your design should always represent you well and be better than you are. If you have the opportunity, you should do it. Is our design technically appropriate for the channel and the medium? Something that we always have to consider, but also for crowdfunding, because crowdfunding is a very specific format. You have this long scroll website where you have to convince someone to do something, to click on the button. So it's not the whole story for you. The storytelling is already in some format that you know, that everyone has tested, and you don't have to be very brave or anything to think of something new. It's really about following the pattern that already is there and filling out all the boxes, like in this checklist. Okay, so is my design, is my design in line with the current trends? You know, it doesn't always have to be, and maybe you should run away from this, but it's also something to consider, because why did these trends come about? Maybe people are using, you know, less text in the images because it doesn't render well on the mobile phones. So if you see some trends, you know, look at them and decide whether you want to be a part of it. You probably want to be a part of most of them, but not all of them, right? Another thing on the checklist is to remove stuff before we even start designing. Think about like your crowdfunding campaign and your idea as something that you can, if you can remove things from it, it will be better. And that's how it can be. And if the communication message can still stay the same. And it's usually possible to remove stuff on many times in 3 different, if you come back in 3 months, you see something and you're like, oh, we can make this cleaner, we can make this better, and blah, blah, blah. But you never have so much time, almost. Can we rethink some decisions from the beginning? I will try to convince you to like make some decisions in the beginning and then later not question them if they are crippling you. But if you can change them and quickly create something new, like, okay, we'll change the color, you know, like that's not a big thing. But if you want to change like everything at the last moment, that's sometimes not possible. And it's better to just like go with what you have and do it really, really well. Can other people create quickly with my design something new, you know? Or will I have some sleepless nights when they call me like, oh, we need this image and you're on vacation? So I'm gonna try to, like in the future slides, also say like that it's good to prepare stuff. It's good to have something already in your visual identity has a head and the tail, as they say, you know, like it has a whole, it's a whole. And that it's available for others, not only, yes.
Sorry to interrupt you, but I think we have a question.
Please. Oh, cool. Awesome. Please interrupt me.
Feel free to go ahead and unmute yourself. And
okay, good morning. I'm sorry because I'm late. I want to talk about myself and my NGO since I have trouble in my internet. Okay, first, I'm Fatima Aboud. I'm a media planner in OSIS NGO. I'm working nowadays on editing for the videos of the campaign that talks about Lebanon's situation, especially in the electricity crisis, to light up Lebanon again.
Thank you, Fatima.
Thanks.
Thanks for jumping in and introducing yourself. Awesome. I'm gonna keep this maybe open. I know then it's gonna be in the way. Okay, but Svetla will inform me. Thanks, Svetla. So we stopped at like putting your designs, like once we are finished, to somewhere like where people can access them, like your colleagues can access them, and not that you have to send someone an email and feel very, very important about it. Oh, I sent the design to you. No, that's not how you should do it anymore. It should be somewhere centrally available for everyone, like on Google Drive, like on, you know, some shared folder somewhere. And the last one, did I create all the elements? It's probably the answer is not, because there's so many elements of a crowdfunding campaign that you can create visually that it's almost impossible to create all of them. So I would like to first go through all of them so that this rings in our head when we're creating pictures later, or when we're looking at Canva options, you know? So for example, a logo branding. Some people will say immediately, we don't need a logo for our campaign because we just have a great thing, you know. But that's not true, because logo like carries the like condensed version of your idea, and it's like recognizable, and you can always put a small logo, if it's a good logo, on anything without disturbing the real image. So you can then you can even put a photograph of your product or some person's face with your logo on the side, and people will know that this is a campaign, for example, about bringing light to Lebanon. Even just because you have your logo, but the actual photo doesn't have to show anymore like everything. You don't have to communicate in every single photo that this is about the light and Lebanon. Blah, blah, blah. So you should, logo really carries, and people will ignore it for the sake of like quickly making a campaign, but actually in the end it cripples you, because making a branding and making a visual identity that really has a, you know, like a whole, will help you quickly create something later. So you're saving time in the beginning, but then later you're kind of going to lose maybe 20 times more time, from my experience. Okay, next element, for example, in crowdfunding is definitely the video. The video, I would say, consists of two main things: of the video itself and of the screenshot of the video. Because even, you know, like people will click on your video, but everyone will see the screenshot, the video thumbnail, I mean, the one that shows up before you click on the video. So this image is almost the most important, more important almost than the video, because more people will see this image than will click to watch your video, because some people don't watch videos. They will just scroll through a page and maybe decide whether to, you know, donate or whatever we're doing here for your campaign. Oops, I keep clicking because I have this habit, but sorry. The header or chapter images, they're very, so I can show, I forgot to make myself a link. Maybe I have it in my history. Sorry. I will show one page, Kickstarter Batmobile. Let's see if I find it like this. Oh yeah, it's right there. Cool. So let's have one page to look at while we're talking about, for example, header and chapter images. So this is a new project from a couple of days ago from Croatia. I really like it because I always wanted to have a Batmobile, and this is, yeah, you can check it out on your own time. It doesn't really matter what it's about, but these header images are like really like pulling your attention to what this is going to be. So like the story starts with this chapter, and there is not even like, as you can see, there's no text. This is just image, and then image, and then another image, and image, and another image. Even if you want to put text, there's another image. So this is what we're talking about, that this is what it's become. This is because crowdfunding has this format, and if you want to be eye-catching, you just can't put this kind of text, right? Everything that you do, your story has to be kind of like laid out in this format. It's moving, it's dragging my attention, and it's like, for example, these chapter, okay, this is maybe a quote, not a header image, but these header images will help people to navigate to the thing that they're interested in your campaign. So the perks and reward visuals. Okay, let's use the same example. I think, see how long this is? It's giant. It's a huge thing. They're already crowdfunding in a few days. It only took maybe one day. The perks are really long. I don't know where they are. I will zoom out maybe. This is, people don't like, designers hate when you zoom out on their websites, but there you go. I can't find the perks. There some, oh, there they are. Okay, cool. So it's a long image with all the perks listed, and maybe they're here also like listed, but this is how they visually describe them. So, you know, take this kind of, there is no text. That's my main message actually here. All the text is in the images, but which usually is not a good thing, but for crowdfunding, it turns out to be maybe an okay thing. It's definitely not a good thing for like search engine optimization for your websites and stuff like this. But we're now talking about crowdfunding. Okay. So, oh, I keep clicking. I'm sorry. So the GIFs or the short videos are very cool. You saw that how they grab attention and they pull your eye immediately to it, and you can not look at them. It's just impossible not to look at them. So even if your thing is, if you think your thing is like too conceptual, or like you think your crowdfunding idea is like too abstract, like you want to just like, I don't know, improve education in a certain way by improving legislation, it's still possible to create some kind of moving thing, like at least like a document flipping from bad to good, you know, like you can always find some way to capture people's attention, because this is not about how good your idea is, it's about how good you're designing for this one particular idea. The pitch book may be something often like forgotten about in the beginning, but like you should definitely, I think for crowdfunding, like when you go to investors that you know will fund your idea, maybe you can talk to them before the crowdfunding starts, you know, like people who you get into your ecosystem early on. You need a pitch book because you still won't have the crowdfunding page maybe, or your website or whatnot. So it's good to have something in paper form. In some cultures or even in some different demographics, you will just get through better with a pitch book that's a PDF, maybe even sent by email, which to some people now seems like totally crazy, like who does that? And to some people it's like, oh, that's the only way. That's why I said here documents. It could be different kinds of documents that you have to like, maybe you're going to make project proposals somewhere or stuff, so you could design for this. You can of course make your website for your, like all the crowdfunding, many crowdfunding campaigns in the end up making their website, or even before. So it doesn't, you can do it before or after, depends on what your product is. A press kit is something not to forget, because you're going to talk to the media and you need to give them stuff. The media will not, the media, I mean the journalists will not do, you know, they will not lift a finger if you don't prepare everything for them. Like maybe even write the article perfectly, it would be perfect for them. So the press kit should be like versatile for different, maybe even press kit is not one. So like each time you apply to different, if you're applying for Medium or The Guardian, it's not going to be the same. Like The Guardian has a more in-depth approach. Not Medium, I meant Wired. So Wired is more like technologically. So like you will give a different kind of maybe even press release to them. So think about this and think about putting different kinds of images and different kinds of information in it. Okay, so what else is important? So social media images, content, and ads. I, of course, don't have to tell you how important this is. And this is why we have to create millions of content, just because people need to see it and share it. That's, I don't need to lecture anyone on this, but I need to also, like myself, remember very often how important it is to continuously create content, and not just like at one go, and like to plan it ahead, like every day maybe to come out something. That's why Canva, later we'll see, it's good. You can schedule your post, you know, a year in advance if you want. But you can also do, not only that it's a year in advance, it's also you can all do it in one afternoon. So for one afternoon, you do the job for the next 3 weeks or something. You shouldn't forget the milestones and updates here. I wrote, don't because at some point you're going to reach this many subscribers or this many backers and this much money. So for these moments, you should maybe already have images ready. It's not like, it doesn't need to be created after you've reached 500 or 1000. So you can plan all of this ahead if you create a good plan. You can create your project timeline, you know, like an infographic going through time, how you're going to do it. Like, here is when we buy this, here is when we spend some money on this, and here is when you get your thingy, and this is when our beneficiaries get their electricity in a village or whatever it is. It's really hard for me. Your campaigns are so different, and I have to be very general about what I say. So I'll try my best. But even being so general, the faces will always work. Faces of people, of the beneficiaries of the project or of your team it will always add this extra to your campaign. Maybe even your visuals should contain, like, your main visuals should be like with faces. I would recommend, because faces, we're just brain hardwired so that we recognize it and we look at them. We just look at them and then we decide whether we like them or not, but we look at them for sure. We will look at them. Interesting production processes. I wrote this was from the webinar also. If you have like the guys Miret, they make shoes, so it must be an amazing image to see the giant machine, you know, stomping out shoes or something like this. Or even if it's hand sewn, then you see this hand sewing. Like, people forget that if they have a product, they can record already so much beautiful material and create images that you just put a logo on and everything looks already like quite perfect. But that's if you have a product, or if you have something to go and take a photo of. Photos, that's what we were just talking about, or before and after images. You can create, even we did this once, you know, like a greening of a community. You can exemplify this with like symbols. You can create like how it is right now, and then how it will be in the future, to create this like image so that people can imagine how it will be when they back you. That's very important, to give to people always like imagination for the future, and not just like presenting how things are, because that might work, as I said, for some really urgent and catastrophic things like hurricane relief, you know, like, just this is how things are, like there's nothing I have to add to this, and everything I add to this would be like reducing from the idea. So if you recognize what kind of campaign you have, then you have to do it differently. Supporter generated designs, I thought this was genius. I saw it in many campaigns now. You kind of create a contest for the people to create their own design to be included in the perks. This is only possible for some campaigns, of course, but maybe you get a lot of user-generated design and all kinds of stuff that you would never have thought of before. And also you involve the people, they share more, and it's just a generally awesome idea. And of course, your email and newsletter, which I will show you later, can also be automatically, you can send images to your newsletter through Canva. So you can still have to create, not even if it's a newsletter, even if it's written, you still have to create like chapter images or some kind of visual images to show what your newsletter is saying. All right. Let's do some common mistakes even before we get into the normal design stuff. Like so, you know, people especially maybe when they don't have a lot of time, you know, they use they do all kinds of design mistakes, or they just don't know or didn't care, you know. So these are usually like terrible typography, using a font that you can't read and that is like too spread out, or that is like just, you know, ugly or whatever. But and sometimes also unnecessarily like complicated. People like to choose the different font and they see like, oh my God, this is so different from anything that I've seen before. But actually it's not better. It would have been better if they left the other thing. So low resolution images, I don't know why, but people really use on crowdfunding, like I see it all the time, like these like low pixelated and blurry images. I know why, because they have a terrible font, so like it's not to blame. But I'm saying that, you know, the more you work on this, the better your thing looks online, because now there's so many pixels on mobile phones and on computers that everything now looks blurry almost. Somehow, like I wrote, depressing photographs versus like sort of hopeful for like you can, out of the most depressing situation, you know, if we're doing crowdfunding, that means we believe in the change, and if we believe in the change, we need to show this hope. And this is not really a design thing, it's more about copywriting and how you're going to approach the problem. But it's good to just keep it in mind that you always introduce some hope to the situation. Also visual and not only with words. Sometimes your design is not recognizable or not unique. There is this thing called like, you know, like the effect of, for example, if you're creating everything now in Canva, you could use the elements that everyone is using, this kind of blob, the gradient blob, and then you put, it all might look the same like someone else's campaign. So that happens a lot. Boring video happens more than often because people like to hear themselves talk, and they think that it's very important and sort of like the thing that they're saying, but actually people are skipping through this because someone's just talking and they're not interested enough like you are to listen to you. So the video also has to be almost like a blockbuster, like all the time grabbing your attention, like in not very long segments, of course. Decorative and unnecessary visuals also like make their ways in common mistakes. Just making something pretty doesn't make it a better communication, always. Okay, so images can be cropped wrong. This is very common because the crowdfunding platforms don't really do this anymore. Not even Facebook. It tries to avoid this. If you put an image and like half the face is cropped of the person, it happens very often. It happened to us also, but because of various technical reasons. But it happens so often that we need to know that when we're designing, it's better to leave the image clean and somehow like centered just the image if we know that it's going to get cropped somewhere. But if we know that we're going to show the full image of this, then we know that we can use some margins on the side and then already put some kind of title text inside, and we know that it won't get cropped. So it's good to know and check your medium before, or check maybe you're going out in a newspaper with your campaign, and in the last moment you realize, uh-oh, they cropped our image, you can't really see our product well. So you need to check that before. And it's not hard to check, you just, you know, upload a test image. People get the hierarchy wrong. Next thing here, the hierarchy of visual hierarchy, which I'll talk a little bit later. It's just so easy to get wrong, like what in a way that you don't know what's important to read on the page. Like here, at least, even this slide, it's not too beautiful. You know that you first read this, you know, and then you read these things. So there is an order. Maybe you looked at the picture first, then you read this, and you read these things. So it's every slide, every image has to flow. The eye has to flow from one thing to the another, and should be somehow seamless. And it's hard to achieve. Designers, you know, have jobs because of it, but it's good to keep in mind. Of course, too much text. When you put too much text on anything, it becomes ugly, like this slide. That's just the way it is. And you saw from this, like also how whenever they have text, they like put it in some kind of like different format so that it doesn't look boring. And that's a takeaway really to take home from today that I hope will, at least some of you. And this thing yelling in capital letters, I don't know why people write in capitals, but it doesn't become more important or you know, anything if you write it in capital letters. So just use normal letters like normal people do, and then use other things to emphasize your design, like changing the font or stuff like this. Of course, I'm not saying that you should never write in capitals, like maybe some titles like we have here in our presentation, like also like on the first slide, like the basics, maybe it was written in capitals, but That's just really like small stylistic glitches, not like a whole thing or a whole paragraph, God forbid. Okay, so design versus art. Is it like art is like good enough for itself, but design serves a purpose. So like you always have to remember that design you're doing is just meant to sell your thing. It's meant to sell your campaign. It's not meant to just look beautiful. So like if you're really not getting there and it doesn't look good to you, maybe you're not communicating it right. Maybe the communication is not right. Maybe you need to change, maybe the text that you put, like welcome, maybe it shouldn't say welcome, maybe it should say like you are here now, you know, like you should think if something doesn't look right, it's probably a communication, because we're dealing here with communicating and not with creating art. I'm gonna move this slide. Oops, I can't move this thingy, or okay, cool. Oh, it's my mouse. Okay. Sorry. And so design and images are there to serve your communication strategy. That's what I wanted to say, and not just to look nice. So here you have this image. It's like totally plain and boring, but it really does the thing it's supposed to do. It shows you that these blades look exactly the same. The division doesn't matter, and theirs is cheaper. So like they have a good communication strategy that someone told the guy to make this, or a girl, sorry, to make this image. And it works, but it's not particularly beautiful, you know. So that's what I wanted to say, but it's obvious what it wants to say. Yeah, I put this campaign here so we can look at it, but I just already clicked on it before, so no need to go through it right now. I'll maybe refer back to it later. Okay, this was the first part that I already like talked about maybe in 3 different webinars, but now this part I haven't. So like it's design 101 kind of thing that I think is very important for anyone to learn the things that I learned as a non-designer first, just to learn how to talk about design and to know what I'm using, even if I'm not the most trained in the world, to know what these things are. So like a primer in design. And without, like, I can't stress this enough, how much copywriting will affect your design. So for your campaign, if your campaign is written in boring terms, and it doesn't have any kind of wordplay, it doesn't bring any kind of new word or any kind of like idea other than we are doing this, you know, it's when you design like for we are doing this, it's always going to be a little bit boring, right? So copywriting will lead your design. It comes before designing, and it's something not to overlook in the process. We're not going to talk about copywriting today, but it really influences what's going on later on the screen. So for example, look how like in the old newspapers, the magazine, they had a different, it's not so eye-catching. There's just a picture of a car, but it says at 60 miles an hour, the loudest noise in this new Rolls Royce comes from the electric clock. And immediately, this is such a good sentence to bring attention to the fact that this car is quiet. You can't write this car is quiet and then also put this image. This would not work, you know. So even with this boring visual, a good copywriting like pulls it off, right? So it's good to keep in mind. And of course, design is there to amplify it when copywriting is good. So when copywriting is good, then you're on the horse, as they say. Then you have a good starting point. I'm gonna mute, sorry, because I hear, unless you want to speak. Okay, so the next thing is the most important maybe thing is the visual identity of your campaign. Look at this campaign. It's so clear that they have a visual identity, that it's every image is like very, very branded with their stuff. Like you have this yellow and this and the lines and the dots. So they repeat everywhere, the lines, the dots, the colors also in the product. So it repeats everywhere. I bet if I look at their website, it's going to have the same. It's going to be very recognizable. When they send this to the press, to the media, also very recognizable. So they, you know, really took the effort to create something like to have a set of rules based on which they can create designs. And then it's not hard. But if you have a blank canvas all the time in front of you, then it's really hard to create something that's both unique and recognizable and serving your communication purpose. That's why before the campaign, I think everyone should create a visual identity for your campaign. And that's a system. It's not just a bunch of files. It's a system and a set of rules on how to use your design. For example, of course, it's also a bunch of files like your logo. Okay, I'll show you for Tadamon, for example, we have here like a page where we just keep logo, all the colors, you know, like it's a bit slow, all the colors, and you know, things like this. So it's easy to download typography, fonts, where to use them, where not to use them, and what not to do. So your visual identity is not just a logo and 4 colors. It's like a set of rules on how to use what kind of square. Do you use squares, or do you use like a landscape format for transferring like some kind of information? Is the logo on the left? Is it on the right? You know, there's I don't know, 120 things I can think of that can be in a visual identity. You don't have to do all of them, but you should have some kind of clear idea that like once you start designing and someone says, I need a visual for first 1,000 backers, and you're like, no problem. I already have the color. I know what the color is going to be. I know what the font's going to be. I know the font size is going to be. I already have this file set up in Canva, and I'm just going to type 500 congratulations and maybe put some animation too, you know. So if you have it ready, you're almost done. If you don't have it ready, it becomes a huge task. Every time you do something, it becomes a huge task. So if you take these 4 times, I wrote times because you need some time to communicate between each other, maybe with the designer. If you're doing it with the designer, the more time you spend communicating with them, the better your thing will be in the end. So if you just say like, we want a logo purple, and you know, do it like right now, it's not going to be good. You're not going to like it. But if you tell them everything, like how you want it to feel luxurious, or you want it to feel like you know, like earthy, so it's totally different styles, and you can tell them and you can communicate this well with maybe learning a few new words for your vocabulary. But if a good designer will guide you through this. So that's when you have a designer. When you don't have a designer, then you yourself are going to guide yourself through this and think about what you want to achieve or what kind of thing you want to radiate with this design. Inspiration. I wrote here inspiration because you should always go, for example, I go to this website, behance.com, and I just, you know, like steal other people's stuff. It's not really that complicated. You just go here and you just say visual identity, let's say, and then you get a lot of visual identities that are recent and they're good, and that you don't have to copy anything from them, like not even the color or the font or the idea of placement of stuff, but it will spark your imagination and it will say like, I want it like this, but not like that. And that's very, like, design is always like this, but and it's perfect. And it could be just tiny little changes that you make, you know, sitting on the shoulders of giants, of really good designers. If you're not one yourself, better to steal than to try to come up with something yourself. Not steal, of course. I don't mean steal. I always say these like harsh words, but I mean get inspired. I don't mean to steal and then like take someone else's work. Definitely not. Emotion. You should take some time to figure out what emotion you want to come from this, and maybe your visual identity, the first drafts, they will not radiate the emotion that you want, and that happens all the time. And people change designers usually when they want to change the emotion, and some designers can't design 2 different or 4 different kinds of emotions. They just kind of get stuck in this one thing. Those that know will know what this means when they can't get into the right emotion for the design, and maybe you get this problem later, maybe not. And you should also take the concept time to develop the concept. For example, like if you think of like water project, there's 300,000 different ways in which you can exemplify water. It can be a droplet. It can also not have at least it can have no image, just say water. Maybe the water can look the font can look watered down. Maybe it can melt. So to find some time to work on the concept saves you time later of tweaking something that's not good, and it will never be good. And you can tweak it, but actually you should have spent time back at the concept stage. Okay, then the 4 more times that I identified that we're doing. It's definitely sketching. Like once you have your like 3 directions of the visual identity maybe in front of you, you need to sketch them out, like to make different sketches. So you do it on paper, you do it on the computer, it doesn't matter, but you need to sketch, because every time you draw them, you'll be like, this is wrong, and this is wrong, oh, this is also wrong. But before you do it, there's nothing to point to and say, this is wrong. And even when you do a simple sketch, you show it to someone, they're like, oh my God, but the line is too thick. And you're like, I know the line is too thick. It's like, I wasn't thinking about the line, it's about the idea. And they're like, okay, yeah, the idea is great. But this moment of like, oh, the line is too thick is actually a good moment, because they give you feedback that before they couldn't give you any feedback. And now you know that the line has to be thinner. So it can be frustrating, but sketching is awesome, you know, before getting into the refinement phase. And this is where you choose one direction, I guess. And then, you know, like work on it, and you don't change the concept anymore. This is what I tried to say before also on another slide. Like, you already decided now something, and now you go with it. Now you have to go with it, because there's no time for something else. Then you get to the finalization stage, which is, you know, creating all the actual images of the logo, and maybe different future proofing it, so that you create a version of the logo that is not just, for example, a square version. Maybe you need like a long version, or like a tall version, maybe a vertical, or a version without the text, just the little image. So, you know, there's many elements to a visual identity, like the colors, typography, images, some other items. Here you see like this white paper. It could be anything. It can be an envelope, or for you, it's like a Kickstarter page. But if you create the visual identity for your campaign, you might start getting into actual physical stuff. Maybe your perks contain like mugs or t-shirts. So like, I didn't want to list 3,000 things here, but these are the most important. And I'll go through some of them. So for example, look at this campaign. We always take it as an example because it's just so bright and has eyes, and it's a toy, and it's perfect. Toy is here, like, it's immediately grabbing your attention. It has this orange color that goes through all of their stuff. This is their logo. You can see it. It fits into the very small. See how here it fits into this small space. That's a clear indication that this is a good logo. It's recognizable on this size. Most logos that you will think of in the world, and most logos you can think of, that's just how it is, like statistically it will not fit into this. You have to work really, really hard for months, maybe, to get to, not to fit any logo, but to come to a concept that can fit into this kind of like small space. If you can even see it, who knows what kind of screen you're looking at it, but I can see it. I assure you I can see it. So this is a very good example of how a crowdfunding campaign can have its own sort of visual identity, which is here a bit easier because it's not so abstract, because it's actually things that are beautiful. So it's a bit easier for them. Okay, what about this logo? Everyone knows that there's logo, but this is something they usually forget, is that you can have different versions of the logo for different kinds of, as I just showed you, for different media, or for different little boxes that you have to fill up with your logo. So it's good to keep in mind always that logo has to scale down and has to be like modifiable, and you know, there is different context that you has to fit to. Okay, oops, oh, I can't click on it. The readability, of course, comes with size, and you can decrease the size all the time, just checking your logo just by decreasing the size and checking where it breaks. It should break, you know, where the good logos break, not where the bad logos break. They're like handwritten, have a circle, you know, classic like hipster logo has a circle and then something inside written, like, and then you scale it down and it just becomes a blur. Not even a blur, the lines disappear. It's funny, but it's hard to somehow make a logo with a shape that fits, because today, for example, like you can have on a building, like you could have like square blocks, if the blocks are square and they increase them to fill up 80% of this square on some building, let's say, different logos will be different size, even though they are the same size. So they will be more, as I wrote here, sorry, massive. Some logos are just massive, like the FedEx logo or Nike logo, maybe not, because it's actually quite thin, but some like 3M logo, they make masks and building material, you know, like it's the most massive logo. It's a tiny, just like 3M, and if you put it in a square, it fills up the whole square and you can see it from really far away. So I don't know what this is called, but I call this massiveness. And like logos can be of different massivity for sure. These are all kind of equalized. See how they maximize the massivity on this square, this size square, and this size square. So, you know, the relative size and the balance it feels within this frame, and this is what I call massiveness. I'm just joking, kind of. Okay, so you can always simplify your logo. Like even the big companies for like years and years, all the redesigns have been about simplifying the logo. So they keep doing it, simplifying it. They can do it forever, maybe. Like MasterCard just did it, like until the moment you can't do it no more, I think. You can also check what your audience is. If your audience is kids or if it's senior people, it's not going to be the same how you're going to design. So you need to check all the time for your design or your logo, now visual identity. Is it accessible to your audience? Is it maybe you need a bigger font for the seniors don't see what it says. They don't get it or something. They don't know the reference you're using. So maybe the kids don't get the thing. It's too like advanced for them. So check for your audience and check many times. Check all the time in the process, like maybe try to check with them physically. I mean, like give them, show them and say like, okay, no, okay, I don't like it. People will usually say that they don't like stuff. And that's because everyone has an opinion on visuals. They all have eyes there, and they will have an opinion also. It's not like a doctor, like when you, okay, maybe that today as well, everyone now has an opinion. But in any case, everyone has an opinion. So choose your fonts also wisely, because as you can see here, the font really determines what kind of like emotion it brings. So this is very, very luxurious and like cool, you know. This is very childish, obviously, like very playful. This one is kind of like, you know, ornamental. It's there, you can drink the beer. It's probably the beer is like that. It needs to be added, something has to be added to it to make it tasty. But okay, you know what I mean by choosing your font, because fonts are so important. I'll get to that also later. Colors. Yeah, color theory. I'm not going to get deep into color theory, but you need to like be mindful of the colors. Don't just use any color and then choose another color that goes with that color and then another color that goes with that color. No, like take some time, like you do with the logo, like you do with everything else, to like plan your colors. Maybe see like how many colors will I need? Is 3 colors enough? Oh no, I will need maybe a lighter version so I can put black text on it, you know? So you can plan stuff ahead a little bit, and or steal someone else's color palette. From I'll show you some tools for that later also, but it's Canva is just perfect for that also. You always have to watch with the colors. It's easier to make a mistake than with something else. When you put a text on this yellow, you put like orange text or red text, and it just, there is not enough contrast between these two colors for you to read it. And for you, it can seem like cool, but actually it will be harder for someone to read. So if it's harder for someone to read and it looks cool, then just drop it and make it differently so it's easier to read, or at least a little bit easier to read. Of course, there are good and bad couples of colors, you know, people, but this is not deep enough. We can't get deep enough to color theory, not that I even know so much. It's because that's also why you should steal palettes, and you can steal them using photos. You can take a photograph. You will see now, we will do it in Figma, in Canva. You can take a photo, you click on 4 dots, like let's say it's a flower photo somewhere in a garden, and this is already, nature is so well balanced that you can just take any almost color and it will look pretty good, you know, like, because these colors will pop out from the actual photo in an actual place, in an actual lighting, and it will look harmonious. Rather than you choosing like, you know, random photos, like random colors going into that color circle and then just choosing, that's not going to work. It's usually you choose the worst colors like that, I think, unless you're a really good designer, which, you know, I can't say now for you. Here's some emotions that go with colors. Always good to think about emotions, except for when they're yours. But here you have the red, and it's usually, you know, communicated as like bold and energetic and kind of aggressive almost. Like and then you have like this. You can read all the, you know, blue is trustworthy and strong, like the politicians. Green is like, you know, on the animal planet, and so orange for me, orange and yellow always like this, like kind of, I don't know, maybe a success kind of thing that's happening. I don't know. So put yourself on this spectrum and maybe choose where you want to be. You don't just use it because I like red color. You know, just be mindful of what you're choosing, and then after that, being sort of mindful of what you're working with. I hope I'm not getting messages that I'm being too long or something. Just a moment. Okay, no. Yeah, black, of course, not a color, but beautiful. I will go on now, away from emotions onto typography, which is kind of my favorite topic, because here I try to make, look, here I try to make all the mistakes in typography that were on that are on the next slides. So I like typography because it can make something terribly, terribly boring into something beautiful. If you have one title and 2 paragraphs and you put them on A4 paper or an A5 paper in a nice way, it can look beautiful. And if you put them just a little bit left and a little bit up and change the font size, it looks like an elephant has just stepped on the keyboard and made a design. So I don't know, it's just such a huge difference you can make with such small changes. And that's what I like about typography. And for me, like, I don't know, the best good and bad design is mostly between good and bad typography and using it. I'll now show what I mean by typography. So the choice of the font, here I chose this, ugly wrong font. Limiting yourself, once you choose the font, you limit yourself to the specifics of that font. And then you should use those specifics and not try to like go around them. Like, okay, I have a thin font, I'm gonna make it giant. No, like you have a thin font. Okay, maybe I made the wrong example because you would want to make a thin font sometimes really big. I mean, for all the decisions that you make, someone else is making the opposite decision and it still works, right? Because here it's a little bit like an art design, like there is a little bit of a wiggle space between where you can make totally wrong things and can look amazing, like asymmetrical stuff and things like this. But in any case, choosing a font limits you to the settings of that font, and you have to like get to know the font and see what it's good for. Maybe one font is good for headlines, but it's totally not good to continue writing body text with it. That's why headings in books are totally sometimes different font than the body text, which is usually 2 or 3 different fonts for every book in the world almost. Okay, don't break stuff. Like here I used one option of the font that I'll show you later so much that I broke it. So don't break other people's work. They already worked. Typography takes a lot of time to do, like to make typeface, it's called, I guess, not a font. To make a typeface, it takes so much time because there is a table of logic behind the letters that you're writing, and like, for example, these kerning tables are included in the font files. Kerning is the space between the letters, but the space between this and this letter only. So here the kerning is wrong here, obviously. This happens very often, and I'll show you some examples how it's very funny when it happens wrong. Hierarchy, it's like this is in the wrong, this looks like it's in the wrong hierarchy. I tried to make that mistake as well. It looks like it's a sub thing of kerning, which is totally not. It's like supposed to be here. And grid, because I moved it a little bit only, so I'm not following the actual grid, right? So here I also made on purpose the mistake. And contrast, this I couldn't really make a mistake, but contrast is something to be mindful of when you're designing typography. Is like something that's similar will look worse than something that's totally different from each other, next to each other. So 2 similar things, if you're doing like something and you're like, oh, I'll do it like this, but I did it the same way it's there, so I'll do it again and put it next to each other, it's not going to work. But if you do it like totally differently, like now use red color and giant something, and then it all of a sudden just like both things work. So contrast is a good thing here. Okay. Oops, this slide was not supposed to be here. Sorry. It's a complicated craft, I would say, the typography. It has a lot of little words, like this thing is called, everyone knows, like, for example, serif. Where is the serif? Everyone knows these serifs. So there's fonts with serifs and fonts that are sans serif. So like no serifs there. Maybe some people know the X height of the font. This is the height of the actual letter here, not with the ascender or the descender down there. And that's pretty much, I think, everything that people know about these words of fonts. People don't talk about fonts; they just use them, and they end up using, all kinds of fonts, like Comic Sans. You have to do the font choice, of course. No one's gonna choose it for you if you don't have a designer, and there's many options. So, for example, here you have like a Futura font is the famous font, but this is actually Josephine, which is like every font today like is either paid or free, right? And if you have a paid font, you will want to find some alternatives. There are some great websites like FontPair that you can go to, and you can find different combinations of fonts that work well together and that someone has kind of checked that they're not like hideous together. So it's good to, if you don't know what to choose, start from there. But you can always find fonts like, for example, Helvetica. You can't find it in Canva, so you can use a substitute font. So if you Google it a little bit, like Helvetica substitute font, you will find it. you know, Times New Roman, the font that everyone uses because it was default in Windows, and that was the problem. And now everyone hates it because it's just there. I like Garamond for like books and stuff like this, for like a long text. It's like so, I don't know, to me it just looks like an old grandpa telling a story. There is like fonts that are like for dyslexic enabled, so kind of accessibility fonts. So you can also be mindful of that. Depends on what your demographic is. Maybe it will be even irresponsible to make, if you're doing a campaign about dyslexic kids wherever you are, it would be irresponsible to use maybe the font like Futura, which is like contrast is the same everywhere, and like it doesn't have this like, you know, recognizability, and all the letters look the same to dyslexic people. So the way you choose your font, it will gonna be the way that your whole design carries kind of emotional sort of yeah, it also carries emotion, but it also carries just like this coolness, you know. Like you need to choose a good font because it's the thing that here also in this, here they have this font that's like fat, you know, and it carries a certain amount of coolness. Imagine it with a different font and it'd be a totally different design, even if it has the same colors and everything. All right, let's go on. I'm not mindful of the time anymore. I think I lost the track of time, but it's okay. We'll just, we're talking, we're freestyling. Okay. I'm not freestyling. I mean, I have everything prepared, but the time at least. Who put the slide here? I'm sorry, I wanted to have this slide. Hierarchy is the next thing I want to talk about in typography. So it's, for example, this is just one example. I did it quick. It's not supposed to be beautiful. And the crown here is just as a, you know, a visual aid. But for example, you have usually, they're marked in programming, sometimes in CSS and websites, or maybe even in your Word document, you have H1. So why is it H1? H1 to be your title, for example, and then H2 to be your heading, right? Heading 1 to be this, and you set your heading 2 to be this this size and this font, because it's a different font here. Actually, it's a different weight. These are all from the same font, different weights. That's what I actually wanted to show you. So this is all Open Sans, one font, all different weights. So this is like extra bold, this probably like regular or thin, and this is like bold or extra bold italic or bold italic. So even with just one font and different font weights, which is how fat the font is really, how fat the lines are, and how spread out it is really, that's you can achieve a visual hierarchy that's inviting. And why I say inviting? Because you first read this, then you read this, then you read this, and then you read this. If this thing was here, then you would first read this, and then you would go there, and it would still maybe be cool because you would create some kind of like swirl with the eye, but you would have to, you know, work a lot to get this symmetry quite right. So a very simple way to say this is like to create hierarchy in your text and to create hierarchy in the way you transfer your ideas. Do use different font sizes and different, I'm not going to say fonts because here I didn't use a different font. I just use a different font weight, but you can use a different font size, and then you will know, like, for example, this is a quote, and then it will like immediately look like a quote. So if you decide, if you define H1, H2, H3, H4, you know, like, oops, it says H4 here, it should say H5. But if you define them before, like you will then never have to do it again, and everything you do will be like kind of consistent, not only in the like it will be consistent, and communication will come out consistently all the time. So be mindful of the hierarchy, even like when you're making like Word documents. I think it's a lot of people, you know, don't do it, and it's hard to read because you need to know what chapter is under what. You need to know which subtitle is under what above title. So it's not only a stylistic thing. It's a worse writing. You're writing worse if you're not doing it. That's something I get surprised by. Often I see in in official documents, even not good sort of hierarchy. Let's go on to font size. So I want to show you here, look, this is in Canva, font size 72, some kind of font size 72, and also this is font 72. So they're not always the same size. So my point here is like, don't look at these numbers and think like, oh my God, but I put 1.5 there. And I should put 1.5 here because I put 1.5 there. Just look at the thing and then see if this is the same size. And then like, well, it's not, you know, like it doesn't matter if it says it's 72 or not. They're just how this font is built. that the X height or the whole height of the font is just different, and everything is just different about them. So if you create another, for example, later you will see, like if you create another canvas and you open a new canvas that's bigger than your previous thing, your font will look smaller on a bigger canvas. But you need to know whether you want to increase the size of the font or you want to keep it the same. But it should be a conscious decision and not some kind of, well, it stayed from before, so I'm just going to use 72, right? If you created, for example, from a small canvas to a different format, like a larger format, you need to decide whether you're going to use a bigger font or not, and how much bigger, 1/3 bigger, or you need to just be mindful of this and decide yourself. Don't let the technology guide you by like putting a font of some size and you're like, okay, I start like this, no problem. Okay. So you see how much difference you can get from just using a different, not font, but different subsets. So like different font weight. So this is extra bold and this is normal. So this can totally be a title, and well, this can also be a title, but it's different. So please look at typography, use your eyes, and don't take anything for granted. Look at every little, the difference between this and here. You should measure it. I measure it like I take a thing, really like a paper, and go like this and measure it. So I don't use a ruler, but I use my thumb, or something, or you draw a rectangle. So you have to always measure it, like this vertical space. You have to measure it. You don't know it. You have to like somehow consciously measure it to know that you didn't make a mistake, because it's so easy to make a mistake in typography. The kerning, weird word, I thought when I first heard it, but okay. Here you can see a font or text with no kerning applied and then kerning applied. As you see, like because A and V are such special to each other, like they have a huge gap here if you put them together, much less than if it was like a D or O, right? Then in the font file, there is like a logic and a table that says like, okay, we're gonna kern it differently if V is following an A. So this already exists in high quality fonts. That's why fonts are very expensive, like thousands of dollars can be. They can have like millions of pairs of for every letter almost, or every glyph even. Like when there's a comma and then there's a V, and then a comma, then there's a P. It's not different. They put different amount of size between them. So it's a lot of work to create a typeface. But luckily you don't have to do this. And also luckily in Canva, you can't do this. I just wanted to show you that this is a common mistake that happens all the time in the world. And for example, it happens like here, you see FedEx used no kerning. Okay, they use this other thing also to create this arrow, like to remove kerning here, and then you create the arrow. They chose such a font that is perfect because they're a shipping company. And here they also removed the space and everywhere, right? So they used kerning as a stylistic element in a good way, but also you have here Megaflix and Walmart that's just a click away, that they didn't do it well. They should have left some more space between some words. So it can create a huge problem for you if you just put the words together in bad kerning. So it's something that seems very simple and like, haha, it's okay, but it can create a pretty big problem. Oh, now my favorite topic, it's text justification. Like whenever someone has like 2 minutes to make some text nicer or something, they just go and they make it either like this to put it centered, or to put it all the way like this, justified. So it's those 4 options that you have in Word, that you have in Google Docs, that you have everywhere. The text can be, of course, left aligned. It can be right aligned. Maybe if you're in the if you're speaking Arabic and you're writing Arabic, so it can be right aligned. But it's usually the stylistic thing that people first go to is like, make it centered, and they think it's beautiful. I don't know why they think it's beautiful, because then you have to read. Your eye goes here first, and then read here, and then goes here, and then here, and then here's the 3rd point, and here it's all 1, 2, 3. You know where the line is going to start, and here it's like, oh my God, it's like rodeo for the eyes. And by this paragraph, by this sentence, you're already like feeling a bit nauseous. I'm kidding. Sometimes, of course, you can use and center justified text, but it's for specific purposes, not for like all purposes. And it doesn't look better just because you did it. And it's not more prominent because you just did it. It's just there, and it's in the middle. Nothing very fancy. And this I also don't usually like, because you need to be very professional, kind of, I think, to be able to decide when you use this kind of justification and when not. Because when you have text like this, then it's the same amount of text would be here and here, but it would here just be stretched out all the way to here. So that between your words, sometimes you would get like this much space, and that's really hard to read. Like a word and then like more space than the word is long, and then another word and then another space. So this kind of justification can create this typography, circus. So I put sad faces next to them because you can use them, but only when you know that you need to use them. And these are kind of normal. I mean, of course, you're not going to use this for your paragraph text. This is just for like if you're aligning something to the right side of something, and if it's a shorter paragraph. That's why I put a smiley face here. Actually, I put a smiley face because of Arabic language also. But I prefer start with this, or if your document is looks ugly, then revert back to this, and it will look better immediately, or document or design or whatever. Okay, I'll go on. Balance. Yeah, I like to talk about balance, but it's hard to achieve it. Like here, let's say that this is a balanced element, and this could also be a balanced element, even though the sizes are different, right? This is the balance I'm talking about. So the balance on some page, in some frame. So the balance can be achieved in many ways with typography, with color, with shape, with like moving stuff. Like if something, or if a pattern is repeating. For example, if I repeated these two dots here, I would totally get somehow like a pattern balance going because I just started repeating something. But you also have to know that text and images don't carry the same amount of visual weight sometimes, or maybe even two elements that are very similar. Look at here. See, these two square and circle are, to me, they look balanced in terms of how big they are. But actually, I have to make the circle bigger because this is the size that the circle is, because the shape of the circle is so that some of it is cut off, right? So visually, it creates an imbalance, and it looks a lot smaller, this circle, than this square to me. But this circle that I increased in size kind of now looks the same size as this because it maybe even takes the same surface area, right? So think about the visual weight, and the best way to think about visual weight, and I'm not joking, is like to squint. Like look at your screen or whatever you're designing paper, and then squint through your eyebrows a little bit also, like to see blurry and to see where the stuff is and where it's dark, where it's light, where there's color. And then sometimes when you squint, you're like, oh my God, there's red all over the top and there's no red on the bottom. I need to put red on the bottom. So this would be like a, Jackson Pollock, he has these like, overpriced art, I guess. No, I'm kidding. I'm not who am I to say what's overpriced. I'm happy it's expensive, but I mean, it's a bunch of dots that are perfectly balanced. And when you look at these dots on the canvas, they're just little blobs, right? Or dots, and it's perfectly balanced. And you're looking at it and nothing, you don't want to add something and you don't want to take away something. So I guess it's worth the price, right? That would be a mosaic kind of balance. If there are different kinds of balance, that would be a mosaic balance where everything is like plastered together, but you're like, as a whole, it looks balanced. There can be a radial balance when things are arranged in a circle. Like people around a campfire, and so that would be radial balance. People usually find the best way to balance themselves around the campfire. It can be asymmetrical, so like this, for example, something big on one side but something small a little bit further away on the other side to pull the weight. You can play with asymmetrical balance if you have time, or symmetrical balance, which is easier to achieve, and it's just putting something like this symmetrical. So whenever you look at your screen, I think you should check the balance by squinting like this a little bit and looking through your eyes, and then seeing where it's too heavy or too light. All right, line height and letter spacing. So it's the two things that can make or break your design, and it's really it's not going to be I'm not trying to make it, these are the two things that will totally make and break your design. For example, websites can look terrible just because someone didn't take the time to do this, but actually it looks like this or like this, and that's line height, the height between the two lines of text, right? And please be mindful of them. Whenever you look at the design, you ask yourself, is the line height okay? It's like, maybe I need to increase it, maybe I need to decrease it. And I'm not, first of all, I'm not going to tell you like it needs to be 4.5 times the size of the font or 1.5 times the size of the font, because these are rules that you're going to get into a situation and you're going to type 1.5 and it's going to look terrible, and you're going to be like, oh, I typed 1.5. No, don't worry. Like the guy told me, no, you have to look at it and maybe Google a little bit, but you have to also see it. Look, this is too airy. Like it's on the border of being too airy, right? It's too airy. Like your eye has to like travel a lot to the next line. And here it's just so dense that you don't even know in which line you are really. And here it's so comfortable to read it. You know where the next line is going to be. It's like a little bit further than one line of the actual text. So be mindful of line height, and then Canva, I'll show you later, there's a way to change it. Letter spacing, it's so cool that later in Canva you can see that they included letter spacing at some point because it's very important. Sometimes like you need to squeeze something to fit on the page, and you just use letter spacing for like one word, to fit one word, and you maybe just squeeze everything by one pixel. And sometimes you want to use it as a stylistic element, like you saw in the FedEx logo, where everything is like, there is no letter spacing, it's minus whatever it is. So you can see here the difference between letter spacing and what effect it might create. So it can be an effect, or both these things can be kind of like an effect that you use on purpose, but don't use it by accident. Don't have a default thing here, there, and then think like, oh, it's probably okay. White space, contrary to whatever many people, I encountered in my life that wanted something designed for them, were like very like, when they saw white space somewhere, they were like, oh, put a picture there, put something there, put a flower, put a thing. It's like, why? Like in this age of like information overload, it's nice to have some breathing space at some point to like not take any information in, you know, like maybe between header and the next text there should be some white space. Maybe the image should be all the way on the left, and on the right side there should be nothing. Like it's nothing is beautiful. So use white space. People use it. Swiss design. If you Google Swiss design typography, it's about using white space. And okay, now here it's about using white space and some kind of you know, typographical glitches and using the edges of the screen and stuff like this. But one of the biggest things in Swiss design, which is, you know, like supposed to be very nice, is white space in these books. So it's not like they could have put, it's not like they didn't have enough images to put here and here. It's like they decided not to put anything there. So sometimes decide not to put something on thing. And this slide, you all noticed this river thing, you know, in books when you're reading a book and there's a white thing going all the way. Now you can't see it because there's a red line, of course, but there's like, when I was a kid, this is the first thing I noticed about books. I don't know why. This is called a widow, when your text gets left, the last sentence gets left like here, and it's like you don't know where it belongs to. You don't see the last page, so it's good to avoid it. You can avoid it by squeezing some text, cheating, as they say, or maybe arranging things differently, starting from a different point, the paragraph, and so on. This is called a runt, which is just a word that's left. This happens all the time in people's design, in crowdfunding campaigns. One word alone, a sad word alone, without anyone to support it, or any idea next to it. It's just, I don't know, this happens very often. Orphans are like starting lines that are, you know, like also not good. End line or the starting line should never be alone. Nothing should and nothing should ever be alone. Also, this guy definitely shouldn't be alone. This river I just put because I think it's interesting how sometimes, like when you're setting type, white line can go through all the way, and that's called a river. Not that you need to know this, or I need to know this. I think we should have a 10-minute break. I should definitely drink water, and then we'll get straight into Canva. How do you guys feel about that?
Yeah, great.
Cool.
That's great.
Cool. Since most of you were supposed to be CSOs or NGOs working somewhere, and the Canva has a free, Canva is free, Canva Pro is free for NGOs and CSOs if they apply. So I decided to take you through the tour of the full Canva, which is paid Canva, and I just created an account and put my credit card, which is they didn't charge me, but I have a 30-day account, a 30-day trial period. So you can do the same, but then just put a reminder in 25 days to remove the credit card from your account, and you will not be charged for this 30 days if you don't want. But for what I will now show you, and what I think is totally true, is that it's worth. It's definitely worth the $10 if you pay by year, or 12 if you pay by month. But you can also just use the free version and you will not miss out on a lot. Maybe some cool options you will miss out, I'll show you, but most of the stuff you can do yourself. Okay, so this is the Canvas, oops, this is the Canvas screen. So this is the paid account that I think you can all get for free because you're NGOs. That's why I'm showing it to you. And the only thing that changes is like maybe this link won't be there in the free account, and maybe something else that we'll come to later. I'm thinking of starting like, okay, so here I just created two things. I just clicked on some templates so I can have two things here so you can see where your designs appear. So this is where your designs appear. They're listed here. Once you have more of them, there's different ways to list them, but they will just when you click on all your designs, they will still be here listed, and you can view it as a list or as a grid, which is sometimes list is more useful. Most of the time list for me is more useful because I know what my posts look like, but I need this, and like, I don't know, I just like lists. So this is when you click on all your designs. But basically your homepage when you get to Canva is this. You get to see your designs here on the bottom. You get to see like this kind of call to action thing that just calls for you to create something very fast. And this is what Canva is about. So for me, it was really hard to choose to talk to you about, like, I wanted to talk, for example, about Canva, Figma, and maybe GIMP or some kind of Photoshop alternative, because I can't talk about Photoshop and Illustrator, which I use daily, but I don't want to talk about them because they're not free, right? So this is a tool, Canva is a tool that like will, for you or for this needs that you need, I think can do everything. It's a combination of Shutterstock, of having Shutter images, like graphics, of a video subscription site. You can put videos. It's an exporter of PDFs. It's pretty much, now there's an option even added that makes it like Photoshop. You can create edit away a background and stuff like this. So this is why today we're going to focus on Canva, and for example not on Figma. If anyone is interested in Figma, I can show Figma like a little bit, and I'll show you a little bit what's different about Figma, but that's pretty much it. Like Canva just rules them all, and that's what they're doing right now. They want to rule them all in ease, and it's just so easy to create something that it's ridiculous. And because it's so easy to use the templates, for example, here there is this thing that I mentioned during the presentation, that it's dangerous that your stuff will look the same as everyone else's stuff. So if you choose a PDF design and then you put a nice thing, you see the blobs in the back, 350 other people did the same thing today. So you have to be mindful of that, and you have to always try to, you know, strip down all the things that you're using from other people to the core, and then go again. Not to look like a Canva thing, so that your thing doesn't look like it came out of a Canva. That's just my frustration with some designs I saw. But let's start like by, okay, I'll start here. So this is me, this is my account. I created an account with like this additional email address. Fun fact, you can add numbers to your email address and then it becomes a new email address. I didn't know this. Then, okay, when you're signing up, I mean, to something. You have your account settings that I'm not gonna get into. Here there's some, you can sign out if you have another account to log in. You can refer friends, but we don't need any of this stuff right now, or the Canva apps that we're gonna maybe talk about later, but they're not important right now. What's most important here for you is to create a design, and this button really is cool because this is only one of the ways you can do it. For example, you can click here, you can go here, maybe you can create a new Instagram post, or here, of course, Instagram post, or here you can click on social media and create an Instagram post. So don't be confused by the fact that there's 3 ways to do the same thing. While you're on this page, while you're on the home page on your dashboard, I guess their idea is just to pull you into clicking as soon as possible into creating your first design. So that's what will happen if I would now click on this Instagram post here, create blank, bam, it opens a new tab, which I like, and puts it here and creates me, puts me in this working mode. So I'm gonna go back to the home page to just describe what's inside. I'm going to skip the rewards because you refer a friend, you get a reward like everywhere else. I'm going to skip the account settings and because there's not so important, and the help center. And let's get to the search bar. So this is a cool search bar because I guess you can search through story test. Let's see if my story is there. Yeah, your designs. See, you can search through your designs, you can search through templates, and you can search through, of course, all that there is, and your story will appear here. So that's very useful once you have more than 2 things here. But now that I have 2, it looks ridiculous. But later you'll be happy that you can search by title. Of course, don't forget to name your stuff as soon as you make them. Name your stuff properly. And like they say it's not part of design, I say it is a part of design. Like name the stuff properly, because first you won't be able to find it, or someone else won't be able to find it, or you will have like 55 things here, like squares looking all the same because there's multiple pages. So this won't show up, the thumbnail, and it will just say untitled, untitled, untitled. It will look like my desktop before I cleaned it. Look, okay. So that's just a general remark. Here, I urge you to take the courses, getting started with Canva. I took some I didn't. Some are really big, some are nice. They're awesome, like very good that they did this. You can really learn how to use Canva very easily, and it's kind of not too in-depth as you would expect from them. But so you can enroll in a course. It's like an LMS here. So I'm going to go back. I press the back button. So there's features. Features are like, first of all, let's go to the side. You can download Canva for Mac, Windows, Android, or whatever your phone is. I didn't use it yet, but at least for the phone, I tried and it's good. Like you can use Canva, very good. I just enjoy working in my browser because it's so cool that I don't have to download anything or anything. I never have to download an image. So I like to work in the browser just using www.canva.com, but you can do this. You should, once you create your teams, for example, you can add different people to your teams. You have to see how many people you can add under your free plan or not free plan, but it's not the most important feature for me, but it's once I have the account, then you can add people to the team so they can work on this design that you already made. But until you make it, it really doesn't really make sense for them to work with you on something. It's new features here. You have videos and graphs and charts. Canva just added, so that we can explore them a little bit later. What's really cool about Canva is the apps. So apps are like external things that they didn't design. Canva didn't maybe design them or write the code, but there's all kinds of implementations. Like you can put a QR code. You can use these like funky filters, not even filters, like more like effects for the photo that do really cool stuff. And some even deleting a background, I'm not sure if that's an app or just a edit thing, but in any case, there's external things that are going to be added to Canva every single day, and you will be able to use more and more stuff. So that's pretty cool, and don't ignore it because they do really cool stuff. I'll show you. Now it's a new thing that they want to get into making print products. So like before, Canva was really not for that, but it really evolves every day. Almost it changes and they add new features. Like it's one of those companies that obviously now has money to like invest, and they're investing it in actually the product, which is weird because usually they invest in management and cars. So it's cool. The product is growing, right? You can see here, you can create your business card, you can create a mug print, you can very easily export a mug, if a mug is your maybe perk for your campaign. So you have the icons and you have all kinds of different things that you can search that are categorized. It's not so cool just to have icons, but sometimes you have icons and you get a nice giant big file into Illustrator, and then you're like, oh my god, I have to find now this icon, and you can't like search for it. Here you can just search for it. Everything is like very tagged, very organized, and you can see that someone already went through everything and kicked out all the trash and put some cool stuff inside. Like it looks curated. It looks curated and it looks huge. So it's two things I want, like curated and like unlimited. And of course, it has Shutterstock basically inside, or Unsplash, or other Pixar photo sources. You can check where the source is. You can credit it if you want or if you need. But these photos are all free to use, except for the ones that have a $1 sign or 99 cents sign. You will see them; they are paid. But most of them are free, and they are awesome. For example, like this photograph, I already see that I could just click on one button and remove the background and make a cool thing out of it, just a cool image. We'll do that later. Okay, so let's go on. There's templates. Templates are like, you know, necessary evil and great thing to start with. For example, if you have a social media stories, let's say Instagram stories, there are many templates you can choose from, and you can be done with your story in a minute. Like this already looks 10 times better than anything you can do in 10 minutes, right? So for example, I don't know, you click on this, is the maybe ugliest one, but it creates a new one, and you just go inside and you start changing to what you want, right? So templates are very easy to move around. They're like tidily made, and you can just delete stuff and take stuff that you want. For example, I don't want this text, and I want to add some element later, I would add it through here. But I just wanted to show you how easily you can, through a template, get to something that's already you know, downloadable almost. So of course you can, you know, before you had to open every time I would make an Instagram like post or a Facebook post, when Facebook was having updates every 2 days, the recommendations for the image size would change, the sizes would change of the cover photos, of this, of that. Now you just click on social media and you click on Facebook post, and it just calculates the right size for you, and you don't care anymore about, now this is a blank one. I can of course use templates here that are always on top. Templates will always be in this work mode on top, but I rarely use them now. I'll show you why, because it's so easy to make something yourself, right? But for example, here you have this, like if you click on this, you already have like a post pretty much ready for you, and it's a carousel post where you could create more posts with it, more like a slider post, like with your thumb, right? Oops, I'll start my video also. I didn't know I didn't start my video. Not that you need to see my face, but that was the templates and the choosing of the stuff. And let's see, like now going down to my designs, I created, now you see this other design also. I can change the names, I can change the whatever I want. I can also send it to a folder. Here I can move it to a folder. I didn't make a folder, but it's good that you can make organization, right? So not only that I can share or download it, I can put it in some kind of, here is all your folders, and it will show up here when I make another folder. This didn't exist before, and it's really cool because you can organize your stuff. And sometimes having your stuff organized is almost half the work done. Shared with me, this is a new account, nothing is shared with me. And here it's cool, you can use this brand kit. So this is how important brand kits are. My brand. That they recognize that it should be like, you know, in the main menu, you need to like your brand logo, you just click on this, you upload your logo. Let's say that I uploaded the logo, I didn't now, it doesn't matter. You choose a color, like you choose this color, this is the hex color code. I don't know who knows about this, but probably by now everyone, but you can, with this code, you can choose any color in the world. You can, that's web safe. So you can even go on some websites and try to find them differently, or you can find them, the colors from inside Canva. I will show you how. But here you can add your colors. For example, this one, well, it's really not nice, but okay. And this one, and then also black and white I'll put. It's very useful. And then you have this kind of like garden looking color palette. Not nice, but it's there and it will always be there. And I'll show you how, when you go to design something now, when you click here, it will show up your color. Your colors will show up if you call them something. I don't know why I didn't. My palette. I don't know how to spell palette, but in any case, wait, sorry, I'm gonna close all these windows that I opened. Here in the, not only as we talked about before in the other part, you can add your heading styles and you can create a hierarchy already that's proper. So for example, I can choose Open Sans here, like I did in that example before. And I can choose also Open Sans. I know that this one is like extra bold, for example, and this one I can choose, you know, another one or the same one with different size. So if I click here, I can set a different size. So for example, maybe I want a bigger body text, and this font is annoying. Maybe for this, I put it like this, and this one can be Open Sans extra bold. Okay, so now I created this kind of hierarchy thing, and it will be applied to all the new designs that I open. If I open a new text box, I will be able to click on any of these fonts. What's cool about having a paid account, or free account if you're an NGO, which is what you're all going to be having, I hope. We should send an email. Google it. Google. I will send you also like a link, but I mean, you should Google it, how to get free Canva for NGOs, and you can apply, and I think you just get it in a few days. Okay, so here you can upload your own font, which is amazing, because then you can use your brand that's already been developed, put the font here, and create all the visuals that you will ever need with this. Here, if you click on Discover Palettes or anywhere where there's colors to choose, they already give you examples. So you can just choose someone else's or get inspired, like salmon sushi. I like that one. So they're going to be like, it's going to be so much easier if you have colors to just click instead of having to copy paste. So taking the time to do this once is like saving you 300 hours in the future. Okay. We went through the brand kit. You understand how small it is and how powerful it is, right? So it's, if you have everything in one place, you will see how it's going to be easy. Okay, this is a Canva awesomeness feature. There's many content planners now in the world, but you can use Canva also to schedule your content. So for example, if I wanted to post on the 15th, like this image, for example, and I'd select my channel and my Instagram. It's not connected now because this is a new account, but of course you would connect your Instagram business account, that is your Facebook, because Facebook now owns Instagram. So you would connect your Facebook and then connect your Instagram business account, and you would be able to schedule posts to any of these social networks. You can even publish on Slack for your teammates. I think that's pretty cool, but not everyone uses Slack. You can publish, of course, Facebook and all the other social media like LinkedIn, and you can set it up in advance. So in one day you can create, 100 posts and then, not work for 1/3 of a year. I don't know if that's how it works, but I always hoped so. It's not like that. But you can schedule the posts if you have them. Creating a team, not going to get into that. You can invite your team members, but then your account you'll see how you have this many, and then you can add extra team members for 7 per person. So before you get into inviting people into your actual team, then make sure that you know which plan you're on and how many people you can invite and who do you really need. Like you really want to invite only those people that are active in working on it, not those people that are just going to come and download something, because those people should already have these pictures somewhere downloaded or published or whatever. Okay, so now that we went through, quickly through Canva as where you can get to, now I want to get to creating something. Okay, so let's say that we want to create, I don't know, someone say something, maybe I'll say something. Social media. Let's create an Instagram post. Cool. And let's say that our Instagram post is, for example, about. Yeah, this is the hardest part for me. When someone gives you exactly what to design, it's really easy to design. So, for example, if someone prepares a text for you, if you're the designer, and someone says, "We need a post for 500 followers on Instagram." And you're like, okay, great. But they don't give you like the text in copy pasted, just so you can, congratulations, even if it's just this, congratulations, right? And even if it's just this or welcome. It's nice when someone like prepares you the text so that you don't have to think of this if you're not the one doing it, right? So that someone else does the copywriting for you. But if you don't have that, then you're on your own and you have to do everything by yourself. So for example,
sorry, your screen is stuck on the calendar. I'm not sure if I'm only seeing it, but I'm only seeing the calendar.
Yeah,
yes.
that's true.
Okay. Okay, now we can see it.
Okay. So what I did is I went between the calendar and now all I did is I went to here to here, and I clicked on the Instagram post here, which opened up a new page on which there was nothing, right? So I'm happy about this nothing. Let's do some simple things. So here you can change the background color. As you can see here, I clicked on this and I can change the background color to my salmon sushi, which I just chose in my brand kit. If you remember, I put it there. And you can also see that the fact that this color is here is part of the Canva Pro plan, because it wouldn't be you would only have these colors and you would have to manually create a new color, but you could still create the same color. So it's just, easing you one step of the way. Oh, coffee. Okay, so we have the salmon sushi thing, and we have what, 500 followers. So I'm going to click on text here, and I'm going to click here on add the heading. So see how small we made this heading, like small font size. I'm going to choose 100. No, I'm going to choose 73. All right. So I'm 500 followers. And then I'm going to like even increase this to be just huge and the followers to stay small. See, I'm clicking, I'm holding just to see. It takes forever. So I'm just going to type it here. Yeah, it takes less time. And then I'm going to put it here. And for example, I'm going to go to, this was the text. I'll get down to these like options here that you have. But for example, let's put a photo. All right, let's use, okay, flowers are in order when there's a congratulations or something. And I'm gonna go click on edit image. And I'm gonna click on this awesome thing here, which is called background remover. And then it will automatically create like, remove this background from this flower. Like, don't ask me how it's done, it's magic. I still think that there were some people who like went around and made the line here by hand. But if you, and some of you are, if you've been working in Photoshop, you know that even using the smart tools for this, your flower wouldn't be so quickly without the background. Even if you're using the best way, there's 300 ways to do this in Photoshop. Like maybe there's 3 ways to do it that are like smart, and one really stupid way by deleting. So just this, what just happened is already worth, I think, the asking price of Canva. So for example, now I have here some text that's overlaid over my flower. I know we're not making something pretty right now, but I'm just want to show you the options. So, okay, let's see about the text options right now. If this is an Instagram post, then I can change, I can animate it only if I make it a video. So I'll first start with like, you can change the font, of course, all the time you can change the font. I actually might want to change this font to something like different, maybe this, let's say, so it's not the same font, or maybe this ugly font. Okay, cool, perfect. That's perfect. And this is now looking ugly to me. I would change it to, since we don't have like a visual identity right now, you can make so many mistakes, right? We don't know what we're designing for. There is no visual identity. It's going to take forever, but that's how it is. It's funny that followers sounds like flowers. Maybe that's why I chose this image. Okay, so the text is what we just talked about, the design 101. That's basically all the options are here that are most important. You can increase the size and decrease the font size. You can change the color, which of course is you can have the palettes of your palettes, but also see now that we added this photo. That's why I added the photo. It shows the colors from this photo. I just think that's so cool, because now you can, use, you don't have to think about anything. I can just use these colors that are on this photo. And if it was a different photo, of course, the colors would change. And if I put another one, they would be added. So that's pretty cool, I think, for an option to have. You can change, of course, different words independently as you select them, right? That was about the colors. And you can make text bold if it's a font that supports bolding, and this one doesn't because it's already like that. And also it can't be italic because it's already italic. But some other font, if I chose Open Sans, I could select it, bold it, italic it, use it as a almost like in a Word document. So next thing that's also like in a Word document is this button. So every time I click on this button, it will not show me the options, but it will change. So now it's left aligned. Wait, I'll do this so it's obvious. And so followers and so. So now when I click on this, it's going to be centered, and when I click on this, it's going to be right aligned. This is what I was talking about. Like, this is people usually when they want to do something, make something pretty, they center align it. Not people, some people that I know, but not all the people, of course. But I like left aligned for like some of my visual identities. For some, I like, it doesn't matter what I like. It doesn't matter what you like. It matters what kind of visual identity you have and what kind of item you have. So for example, here, I can't fit the flowers and so for example, I can decrease the size, or before I decreased the size, if it was like this, I could have also done this and choose the spacing. So this is the spacing button. Before, when we talked about letter spacing, line spacing, that's your button. And this may be the button that I click the most when I'm dealing with text in Figma. So you can reduce the letter spacing maybe to fit this line, you know. Is it broken? Did we break the text? I think so. Maybe we did. But in any case, we now fit here. It's not clashing with our flower. Okay, there's these options that the text can be anchored up, down, and bottom, but it's not so. You can always change the way that this is positioned to achieve the same result. But letter spacing and line spacing, super important option, and it's right here, and it's very easy to do. You can even slide the thing, as you see. Oh, my mouse is a bit broken. Wait. Oh, god damn it. Okay, sorry. I'm gonna type the number maybe. I can type here like 4, and it's gonna be huge. So the line between this is 4 times. So like usually I would put it like maybe 1.5 or 1.5. And that didn't work because I didn't select it. I didn't select the text that I want to work on. And now I can do 1.5. Oh, no, still not selected. Wait. I don't know why that's happening. This could be a glitch. Did I? No, okay, I can move it. Okay. Well, at 1.45, yeah, that's pretty good. That's around 1.5. So we know how to now move the letter spacing and move the stuff up and down, and to introduce more, see how much space you can put into the letters and totally break it. Okay, one of the most important things is Control and Z or Command Z on Mac is undo, which is maybe the option that I use the most out of all the other options. Now let's see what other text options we have here. We have, okay, text effects. So let's get into this. On any image, any text that you have, you can put these kind of, for example, static effects. I mean, I say static because here we will have like dynamic effect, like animating effects, which create from your static image. They create it so that you have to export it as a video or as a GIF. But now we're talking about the static effects. So you can always adjust them as they are, but usually when you click on the specific effect, you can see its options. Like neon doesn't work for this, obviously. Well, actually, maybe it does for if someone likes this. It looks nice and gentle for if I worked on it a little bit more. But you know, this glitch effect that has only 2 different kinds of colors that you can choose. You can't choose these colors, or at least I didn't figure out how to, but I don't think you can. That's just to look like a glitch. It's pretty cool. Sometimes it can look cool for like giant fonts, or even for smaller text. Then you can yeah, I don't know, if you're making something very high tech and technological, maybe this would be an option for you. I like splice because it makes a circle around your like it makes a line around your font, but also it makes this shadow that you can move around and you can achieve different results on different designs. It can be cool, but sometimes it can be, yeah, way too much also. You can also just not use any of these. You do that by clicking here on none. And this is new. They made it so you can do curved text. So you can do those bad logos that I was talking about before. I'm not saying that they all have to be bad if they use this, but many bad logos do have curved text like this. But I like curved text, for example. It's going to be useful for you to create a balance between some elements when you don't have anywhere to put the text as a straight line, and you will just have to use this. That's going to be your only way. And you can see that when you double click on this text, it shows you in a normal way, and then you can type or change it. Let's say there were 5,000 followers. And then it reverts back when you click on something else. It reverts back to this this stage. What else do we have in the effects panel? Let's say curve. Okay, that was the effects for these. You can also edit the effects. Yeah, I told you, I showed you that. But animations, for example, if I wait, I'm gonna undo. I'm gonna, yeah, okay. I'm going to animate, for example, for this 500 to be written out like a typewriter. Look, so all of a sudden we have something that's eye-catching, maybe still not pretty or anything, but it's just catching your eye. It can be like this, like a burst or a bounce. You can play on your own time and explore these effects. That's the fun part, watching things move. But for example, let's use this block, very used, very all the time used. You can also, if you have 2 different, okay, I'm going to teach you my shortcuts that I use, and I won't use any shortcut without telling you. So when I'm just gonna press Alt, the button with my finger here, my Alt button, and I'm gonna click on this and drag it down, and that creates another, oops, and another, unfortunately, but that creates another instance of this. And I can do this many times and just create duplicates, duplicates, duplicates until I get a huge mess. Sometimes it's useful for other things, not so much for text. But let's say that I here want to have some visit our website. Let's say that I want to make this text smaller and, I don't know, white or whatever. Okay, and whatever. I'm gonna, for example, like you can have a different effect here. I'm gonna press this play button that appeared. See, the play button appears once your design has something that's animated or video style. So you can click on this to get to see how it's gonna look. And you can rewind. Let's rewind. So from the beginning. All right, already looks like something, even though it's pretty ugly. But see how now the same thing is, the same effect is applied to both. I can choose this and then effects and then apply a different effect. Oops, I mean animation effect. For example, this one can be typed out like a typewriter, and that's all that I need to do to make it. Wait, why did this one not? Why did this one not get on? Oh, I did. Okay, I just didn't see it. All right, so you can have different effects on different texts, but all you have to do is like separate them to different boxes. That's all. Sometimes you'll be like maybe frustrated. I know I was once like, why can't I do this? And then I realized, oh, I'm in the same box. All right, let's go on with some other options. So for example, this animate thing that I just showed you can have its own options. Let me see if they have options. Oh no, actually animations don't have options. I thought it would. Yeah, they added some new ones that I didn't even use yet. But it's pretty cool to have text animations because it really, your text becomes like in time. It introduces the concept of time to your design. So for example, even though we now started creating this like Instagram post, perhaps it's better if we later download it as a video. It became a video because of all these animations. And also this image can also be animated. So when you click on an image or a text, you can animate it or you can edit. Same with text. So for example, here I can, for the image, I can use this rise or this baseline. I like this because it just rises in somehow a nice way. Okay, this is now getting really ugly, but that's I'm showing you what you can do. Other than this animation, you can, for example, for the photographs, you can use here, this is now says baseline instead of animation because I chose the animation, but I can choose here, edit image, and then again, go into editing mode of the image. So let's see some, I'm going to delete this. Let's see some stuff on the image that we can do. This is really cool. You can connect different kinds of, well, whatever they call libraries or apps to, for example, let's say, maybe I want to do this one, like a shadows. So I don't know if you can see it here. It says connect. All right, and that's all I needed to do to be able to have this option. It's now connected, and when I scroll down somewhere, there is shadow. Okay, there is shadow. So when I click on shadow, since my image is now cut out, as we use the background remover, I can create this cool effect of like, it's usually on YouTube and on everywhere they create this, like, okay, I'm going to remove the blur first. You see the shadow behind the, flower. I'm going to remove the blur because we don't need the blur here. I'm going to like up the transparency so that it can be completely, non-transparent. And size, I'm gonna maybe increase it to be a bit bigger. Okay, like this. And now I got like this line around my flower. Maybe I use white to make it a little bit more poppy. And now it looks really like we're doing a flower shop thing. But in any case, this is, you could have added this white around your design or around a person's photograph. And now once you click on apply here, it becomes part of this image. So it's not anymore, you can maybe undo, but it's now part of this image. And if I go now, edit image again, for example, I'm not still ready for the, oops. I don't know what happened. I don't know what happened, but I'm going to do it again. So edit image, shadows, glow. And then I'm going to like change the settings. You change the settings by clicking on those three This. Sometimes they don't exist, sometimes they exist. Depends on if there are settings for the effect or the animation that you're using. Actually, only effects have them, sorry. So I'm gonna again do this, up this and put white, make it a bit bigger, and remove the blur because we don't want blur, we want like a outline. So yeah, that's pretty much it. If you have this now, you can totally imagine that you can use it with people or with different things. So I like it. I like this effect because it can add this white line. Doesn't have to be white. It can be, for example, in one of the colors that you have in your branding kit. So I can maybe even add another one now around this. That this is one image, and edit it. And so, for example, remove the blur again and up the transparency and increase the size. So I could create even this psychedelic flower later if I choose different colors here, maybe something like this. And then I could do another step and another step. And if I took a person's photograph or this flower, like everything becomes more dynamic if you put like these kinds of like edges around it. Okay, now that we have this like super beautiful image here, I'll show you some other things that can happen. Wait, I'll just put a new image. I'm sick of the flower. I like this man here. And let's try to, again, let's do this. Let's edit the image by removing the background. Let's see what it does, because this would be so hard in Photoshop. It would take you some time to do it, like, because it's not clear cut. It's not like he's on a green screen or something. So I'm really looking forward to see what's going to happen now. Maybe it's not going to be perfect. I hope at least his hat stays in the picture. See, it takes some time. This is not like my internet, it's just their servers need time to process this list. Oh, cool. It's all right. It's all right. We have this like mistake here, but I totally don't mind. If I increase the image, no one's gonna even know, right? But now I undid it. That's not good. Oh shit. Okay. I shouldn't have undone it, but I wanted to show you that it always doesn't work the same on every image, and some images are always better than others for a certain effect or thing. Let's see some other effects so you can get a clear grip of what's going on. Of course, there's these filters and stuff, but that's not so interesting. And you can edit them, their intensity, at least in this one. And there's other things to edit in other ones like tones and maybe the amount of blur. But there's cool ones, like, for example, if you have smart mockups connected, I just clicked connect, just like I did for shadows, and it just now stays here forever. And I just click on this image, and it will, my person will be on this person's computer. So usually you needed to do at least 5 or 6 steps to get to this page, to get to this stage where you can put, like, I don't know, you have to download the Shutterstock photo of this guy, and then you have to get this photo, and then you put it in the Photoshop, and then you cut it, and then this, and then that. And now I can just click here, and I don't like it, and just click on another one. And my perk images are finished. If I can, of course, then you have to make sure that you can print an image like this on t-shirt, which is not cheap or easy to do, of course, but at least you can create the mockup very fast. Now that there's if you're making an app, this will be super valuable for you, because it's so annoying and boring to see like a Kickstarter thing for an app, and you all the time see just like screenshots. You want to see the app in a mobile phone, in someone's hands, like in this man's hands at this moment. Okay, I'm gonna remove this frame to see what else is there. Cool, color mix. I like that because I'm gonna connect it. And there it is now, the color mix. Look, it creates out of your image a totally weird looking image. Sometimes it's cool, like with the flower. This would maybe even be cooler because it would look like a wild flower. But it can create some kind of unexpected thing for your design, and you can play around with settings to see if maybe you just want a little bit of it, or maybe the hue to change it to be like yellow or whatever. But it's kind of cool to play around with it if the image is good, and it adds definitely like some kind of like oomph to your design. Now, let's see. Pixelate, I like a lot. I used it many times to create some kind of graphic that, if you need a picture but you don't want a picture, then you can pixelate something. I'm not recommending to do this. I'm just saying that it's possible. Wait, where is my pixelate? Did I just, okay, here's the pixelate. There's many kinds of, like, see the radial pixelization and dots pixelization. I like this palette thing, I think. Yeah, that's the one. It just like creates a blur, like with giant squares. It kind of looks nice to me. Even if you don't see that it's a man anymore, you can use it for a design or as a background or something else. Because Canva works like that. You can put different kinds of things on top of different kinds of things. I didn't click on apply. So see, if you don't click on apply on the edit image, like I did on Pixelate now, or I didn't do on Pixelate now. Which one did I choose? Sorry, palette. Okay, you have to click on apply, otherwise the whole thing goes away. Like in Photoshop, it used to be like if you didn't click on enter, it would your text would get deleted. That was so many times. I don't want to talk about it. Okay, so here's like you can see here, you can see layers. So Canva, if there's one downside to Canva, it's the fact that layers are not listed anywhere on the side. Maybe that's going to happen one day, and you can then put like one layer above the other, drag and drop them, and blah blah blah. But I think they, for the sake of being quick and being quick on workflow, they don't have layers. I don't know. I can show you Figma later. Those who work in Figma know Figma is like the layer master. Like it really works well. You can just select something, create a layer, put it underneath, and you have the whole layers like stacked under each other as text. You don't have to like click like a visual pixel to get to it. But to ease this, they created this shortcut. You can control click. So now I hold control and click behind this. Oops, or command click. Sorry for my I'm on a Mac. Command click behind this. Now I selected this image that I can delete, right? And I didn't have to go here to click it. So if you can't click on something, you just a few times press command or control on the Windows and command on Mac, and click through until you get to the layer that you want to edit. It's not the best way. It's the only thing in Canva that's annoying, and it's a good trade-off for all the things that you get. And all the things that you get are super amazing. Like, for example, let's say, let me show you this. On this left side, always your stuff, your inventory is going to be. So like if you're, you can still categorize the inventory by photos, graphics, and videos. For example, like your post, instead of this pixelated image, can have a video or a background. I'm just going to stretch it to be larger than the. So if we're making a green energy thingy, this would be a good background for like 500 followers or something. So I can now, this covered my, I wanted to send it back, but it just knew that I wanted to do this and did it itself. So when you right click on any layer, you can send it to back or send it forward to bring it into the right position in the layers. That's the only way you can do it, or with these shortcuts. But technically, with this control clicking, you can get to any layer, so you can then move it up and down. So that's a solution. But cool thing, I like this stuff because video is a good background even for a static post. Even if you're just going to write something out here, a video is a, or not every video, this video is, because it's not too contrasty. Okay, now there's a road coming, maybe too much contrast for like white text. But in any case, I could have totally, I'm just going to press T now to introduce text. All right. Well, that didn't work. I don't know how to introduce text like that, obviously. But I can always go on text and then click on this heading. So for example, here, if I wrote 500 followers and do the most common mistake and the most annoying thing for designers is like when you can't read something because it's on a white background. So this road is coming, you know, like I could start my my video, like, okay, it's again quite ugly, but doesn't matter. I start my video and all of a sudden, like if a video goes until here, I can't really read what it says anymore. So it's happens all the time. Then you have to reformat it. Maybe I could, you know, like move the video up or something. But in any case, or move it like this. I can use this to have green in the background. Yeah, I can do that. That's pretty cool. And so on. For example, like now to achieve balance with these elements, like I don't need this element, but to achieve balance with these elements, like you can decide what's more important. For example, is it more important that it's 500 or that followers? Of course, it's more important that it's 500. Followers are like there since day one. So the word followers can be more important. So this is give more importance to the 500, right? And do this or something else. Then you could press an animation, burst, and you have your post that you did in 100 milliseconds, right? So it's not the best, it's not beautiful or anything, it's not branded with your kit, but you did it very fast, and you could send it to your colleague who said like, oh, we need to post really fast. So Canva is amazing for stuff like this. And if your brand kit is set up, you will not have to ask yourself what kind of font. You will not have to ask yourself whether this is centered like this or it's going to be like this, and then like in this corner or in this corner. You're just going to know all these things, and you're going to be able to just like work and spit out millions of designs in very, I use hyperboles a lot, so I don't mean millions, but I mean, you know, tens of designs in a day. All right, let's see more options. Now we saw this, like I made this post instead of an Instagram post. Now it's like a video, right? So it can still be a post on Instagram that's a video, and it's still a square format. So all I need to do to be able to post it on Instagram, well, one thing I could do is I can schedule it in my calendar. If I go back home, well, I'll do that now. If I go back home in my content planner, if you're that kind of person, like an organized person, you could schedule it in advance. I mean, you know, you're never going to know exactly when you're going to get 500 followers. So again, I'm taking the wrong example. It's like my style for this presentation, but you see what I mean. You can schedule this post and it's already there. You didn't have to download it somewhere and then upload it somewhere or whatever. It's, if your Instagram is connected, it's just right there. You type your post, you put your hashtags, and you're done, like with this, and it will be posted automatically, even if it's not in your time zone or something. But going back to my design, which is called congratulations here, going back to my design, next thing I wanted to show you was, if this is now a Facebook post, a video, then download, the download button. So download options are very cool, and it's like, again, one of the things Canva is like the best for. So you can choose PNG, JPEG. Some websites accept both, and it doesn't really matter. Some websites will work better with PNG because it will be a high quality image, as it says here. JPEG can be compressed automatically in Canva, so you can have a smaller image, 80% size. I mean, I never do this, obviously, like not obviously, but I never do this. I put 100% quality, and with the Canva Pro, you get to export your thing to double the size, which is very cool. So you don't have to resize it to do double size. So if I click 2 here, it will export in 2160 instead of 180. So I would, if I was using a JPEG, I would download it in high quality like this. And for example, I download it. And then I will show you my little secret. It's a JPEG Mini Pro. It's this is a paid, like it was $15 when I bought it. This app, you can steal it, of course, from the internet. So I'm not gonna, you know, I'm not gonna police you about it. But it's nice to pay them because they made a really good program that you can just take your photos or whatever it was. It's still downloading, I think. It's still downloading. Well, in any case, once it gets downloaded to my to here, I can then just drag and drop it here, and it will reduce the size incredibly. It will reduce the size maybe by 1.5 or maybe up to 7 times sometimes, and the quality will stay the same. It will not do anything else. It can automatically resize. So it's a little tool that's external to Canva, and you have to install it on your computer. But this tool saved so much time for me, because to do this like conversion would take me more time with another tool. But also I think it saved money for my clients and for like the projects, because people just quit on the websites when the files are too big. If you made if you, for example, this website, if they upload a too big of a file here, you see how this is not perfect. It's not like you recognize. Okay, wait, let me move closer. Okay, so you see that it's not like pixel perfect. It's not pixel perfect because of the file size. It's not like they're stupid, you know, like they just have to choose the ratio between the file size and the quality. And usually people will say like, oh, it's blurry, or it's blurry, make it bigger. And then you make it bigger and you have a 2.5 megabyte photo on your website, and people come to your website and they're like, 1 second, 2 seconds, 3 seconds, I'm not going to be here, and press back, go back to Facebook or whatever they were doing. So, you know, you're thinking like, well, I don't want my thing to be pixelated, but the trade-off is that no one's going to see your design. I recommend JPEG Mini Pro if you have JPEGs. Okay, this was a total, I wasn't planning on this. I'm not paid by Canva or JPEG Mini, just to say. It's like it's all really tools that I use, and they're great. Okay, here's our post. I was looking for it. So if I download it, let's say I can download this PNG, a JPEG, a PDF. That's really cool, because now if you made, for example, I can make some text. Let's say I will add more text, like this body text. Was it added anywhere? Okay, here. This can be a link, for example, to my website, and I can put like www.renewableenergy.com, and I hope that's not a existing website, but anyway, I'm gonna make, if I click here on more options, I can put a link, right? I mean, in more options currently I have underline. I can underline it. It's just a stylistic thing. I can uppercase everything to make it it's really useful, and whoever worked in different programs knows how useful this is. Sometimes people give you text all in uppercase or all in lowercase, and you need to adjust it. So that's pretty cool. The position, is it going to be on top, middle, or the bottom of the square? So you can see like this. I'm going to put it in the middle, but then I'm going to move it to where I want it to be, because this was not a perfect moment to use this option. And what I wanted to show you is this link, actually. So for this link, if you put www.renner.com and press enter, this will automatically become a link. And if you, well, only if you export it as PDF, print PDF, it will get, or PDF standard, sorry. I think both, actually. If you export it as PDF, your links will work. So if you're making a presentation with like that has to link outside, you're not going to make a video, you're not going to make a thingy, you're going to make a PDF, and you're going to use PDF with like links that you need to that people at their own time can listen to the present, or not listen, look at the presentation and click on the links. But I could also, and this is what I would do for this post, for example, right now, export it as an MP4 video. And here it says suggested. So they already know what you need. That's how the world works today. It's like no one is too smart. It's just many people working together, and they figure out what everyone needs. It's perfect. Well, if you have trust in the systems. But okay, I'm going to click download right now, and this is going to start download here. It will maybe process for some time for you, depends on what kind of internet you have, but it could take some time for you to get this downloaded like this. Like even from my fast internet right now at the office, it takes some time. And when I get this downloaded, I can upload it to Instagram, or I could have gone again. I'm not going to do it now, but I could have gone to my scheduler and just put it right from there. It would be cool because I wouldn't have to do anything. Okay, I can't look at this anymore. It's too ugly. I'm just going to put this here because it looks better. Okay, I could have used this from the beginning. 500 followers. And this just shows you how easy it is to play around with Canva. And it's a good tool for non-designers, I think, because it doesn't allow you to make giant mistakes. Like you can still use these templates. You can still, you can follow someone else's like ideas and thought processes, but you don't have to like make all the mistake and all the work yourself, right? So for example, my comment here would be like, wow, you chose a totally different font for that has nothing to do with this like energy thing. And so, but you did use a font that matches, so you can change the energy thing, like so. Okay, I think you understand how you can play around in Canva and get like really good at it. Now for the next part, I think, did we go through all the options on Canva? How do you guys feel? Do you feel like you have a better understanding than before, or what do you think is missing right now? This is me trying to make it interactive. It's not working. All right.
All right.
I find it
Can I say something?
Yeah, please.
Yeah, thank you so much for your presentation. It was so wonderful. But I think I have written something on the chat box. I would like to see you to show us a good example of the crowdfunding poster, maybe like to give feedback. For now, me personally, I don't have any idea But yeah, I would like to know, like, you know, the concrete example, because
Well, I think
actually
that,
I am a regular Canva user, so yeah, I know the basic things at least about how to use Canva, but I just want to know, you know, like the example, the concrete one.
I understand. Yeah. Okay. That's what's missing right now. But what I wanted to do is like this. I keep referring back to this thing because you can see here, like, for example, if you go into the Kickstarter, for example, they have this recommendations for image, for how to do an image. So what they say is like, you might be tempted, I might even find this now, but it doesn't matter. They say you might be tempted to put to make your image with a lot of text and the logo, and then thing here for your header image. Now I'm talking about the main Kickstarter header image, right? They say maybe you have this like urge to put everything inside on the front page, but they say like, don't do it. The most successful campaigns, they just have one image like this, one clear image that says who they are. And it's just hard to argue with this, that this is the best way. So like when you're designing for this image, for the this is now like a video thumbnail, right? It's maybe the best practice is to just leave the image to show your product or your idea like in itself. Like maybe there's going to be children from the village you're bringing the solar panels to, like hugging in a good moment or something. Maybe it will be the classroom that is really dark and the children are there, like they're not under the candlelight, which is also a good communication purpose. But you don't need to design, there is no guideline to design anything other than just having a clear communication of your product for the header image. Now for this part, there is. So that's what I was trying to get to with the, there is no way for me to do example for everybody. But for example, like this, this image, I would create, okay, let's just go to Canva. Let's just go to Canva and I will, for example, create a design, and I will use custom size. Here I click custom size, and I know that for Kickstarter they say, I think 1024 and 576. This is Googleable. That's what they recommend as a new size. So basically, if I would create, first I would create this header image, but you have to give me a crowdfunding campaign. I can't crowdfund nothing. Maybe we can do the farm. So for example, the farm, I'm going to just type farm here and search for some photos. Right, okay, let's use this one. It's like, it looks like a Dutch farm. All right, maybe this is enough, like for your, and then like some drone. Maybe this will be enough to drag. Oh my God, this is exactly what I wanted. This is the good thing about Canva. You find exactly what you want, because I wanted like to show that this is a project that the farmers can make use of the technology for de-weeding, or this is the kind of, so maybe using this image and maybe just putting your logo here, let's say some kind of fake logo I'll find here. Yeah, let's say this logo. No, it's really ugly. Let's say this is your logo of your project, and maybe this is enough for the header image. But then when you start creating little things like underneath, like this guy's did these what do you call them, like header images. This really depends on your on what you're doing and what is your like thing about. So for example, here I could make I need some inspiration. So for example, getting farms 2.0 or something like this, and I could use a normal font. I think I should use let's say I'll use just a random one here. Okay, farms the past. So for example, if your first thing is about the past, you would use this kind of like how it was in the past to create a graphic for the header image. So this would then, I guess you would, if this is our logo, you would have some elements here. For example, I'll press line and it would just create a line. Maybe this for my crowdfunding thingy is enough. as a header image, and then I will just crop it differently. Probably I will make less height here, or I can still keep this, but kind of create something like here, putting an image also here to create more attention. So if this is the title for our chapter, then beneath this chapter we could create an infographic, for example, like how the old farms, like let's say farm again, graphics, what is the difference, like let's say an infographic difference between small yield and big yield, like with technology and without technology. So it's really about your story. So what is your story and how do you say it and how do you tell it? Also in this scroll format, it actually helps that Canva is also like this, scrolly, because you get to see almost how it's going to look for your for real. So I wanted you guys to take now time to take maybe 20 minutes and to try to create some designs yourself that you think would be good for your crowdfunding or for someone else's crowdfunding. So I'm kind of inverting this question back to you, sort of, because there is no specific thing about designing for crowdfunding other than those things that we mentioned that are conceptual from before. So now the only thing that's really specific is your actual idea, right? So if you have an idea or you can create and invent an idea, that would be great. Then we could do that.
Can I ask something?
Please.
Okay. If you have a main logo for the NGO itself, and then you have a new campaign, like every year we have like a new campaign.
Yeah.
Different from the main logo.
Yeah.
So should we be using the same like the same fonts, the same colors, the same, I don't know, or we can, or it's okay to use completely different colors and themes and direction, design direction?
It's a decision that's it has nothing to do with design, in my opinion. It's a decision of your communication strategy. So for example, if you had a really strong visual identity that can accommodate different logo types. So for example, I don't know, let's see, I'm not saying that our visual identity here is the best in the world for Tadamon, but I'm saying that, for example, as soon as we made let me go to the first slide. When we came up with the talks and the masterclasses, all I did here was add to this Tadamon, like to add a different kind of font, a masterclass and talks, and then the number. So our sort of visual identity can support this kind of like subsections. And
yes.
if your projects are like totally unrelated to maybe one year you're making like a wheelchair, like an electrical wheelchair for disabled people, but the next year you're making like a wind energy project in Kazakhstan. So totally different, let's say, countries or something else. If you want to keep the integrity of your project or your home organization, if you want to brand everything with your home organization, then you need to go into the process of redesigning your main visual identity of the organization. So for example, then your visual identity of the organization has to have a whole chapter on how to create different sub logos. Which colors can we use? To what are we limited? Which fonts can we use? Or you can decide to have it completely disconnected from the main brand. So this is usually exemplified by Virgin brand and Unilever brand mother. Okay, so it's called let me see, there is this image that everyone always uses. All right, so Virgin brand, they have the mother brand controls exactly almost what the logos will look like of all their projects. Even if it's a green fund, it's still this kind of thing. If it's games, it's this kind of thing. Look, there's a square thing like a dice. So their main identity can accommodate this because they thought about this sort of like, or at least they thought about it as they went along. Okay, Virgin is maybe a bad example because Virgin happened as they went along. But it wasn't like thought about this from the beginning. But Unilever, for example, they don't care. They have all kinds of like Knorr, Vaseline, Dove, Skippy, like they're all different brands and they serve by themselves and they all have their own communication departments. And every time they make a new brand, they make a new website. So it depends on if you what kind of project.
Yeah, but I'm not working on a new product. Like we have this box and our name is Smile in a Box, and we have the logo of Smile in a Box. But then sometimes we have like this, like now we have a Smile You're a Hero for children, just to, it has the smile, the name, and it has, but it has a different approach of the box. You know, because now we're including things in the box that can empower the kids after 2 years of staying home with the COVID and everything. So Smile You're a Hero is the logo of our campaign, but Smile in a Box is the main logo. So should I be integrating the elements from the main logo, or?
I feel like it could be done something like this, so that each new project is recognizable by something like the shape or the color, but it has its own, or it has the same font underneath, because it's kind of very related, so it doesn't have to be too separated from each other. But and that you can draw from the previous projects, like recognition. Every time you go into the media, you gain some kind of recognition. So just to draw on, just because of drawing on this, there's no really other reason, because everyone likes creating new designs. It's not a problem like to create a new design, but sometimes you just want to draw on the recognition of your own project, and if it gives you authority that who you already are, then it makes sense. But if you're very new, then it doesn't even make a difference, but maybe you're building this authority. So I don't know, for your example, I can see this, like I don't know the logo, so but I can see like some kind of smile, like the Amazon thing. I can see the yellow color that, and I can see the box that would appear only in the box version. It wouldn't appear in the other one. So I can already see some elements that could be reused, and some that would not be reused, that would be separate. So
yeah, maybe now after the 20 minutes I can share what I have done.
Okay. I think I'm totally out of time.
I would just like to jump in really quickly, as we've gone over time quite a bit, and I see a lot of people have dropped off. And in case some of you want to stay on and continue with Boyan, Boyan can say if that's an option.
Yes,
and we can send the recording.
It would be great if we can now take thanks Svetla for reminding me of the time also, but also maybe you can do a little bit of an outro now to wrap it up, and then we can take 20 minutes, and only those who are interested can stay on the call and come back at 12:45, so at 1:05 for example, or 1:10 to show what they have, and just to chat a little bit and get to know each other more, and to maybe give some feedback. We can give each other feedback on the designs.
Okay, that sounds great. Well, thank you for all of you enthusiasts that have stayed on with us and for this really interesting presentation from Boyan. I think he really was able to explain to us not only the basic design principles, but also how to use a really, really great tool like Canva, which, as he said, is constantly developing, and there's tons of features and are really useful for nonprofits, which, often, are unable to hire designers for everyday communications and work. So thank you everyone for joining this masterclass. We will be continuing with future masterclasses. So if you want to learn more about our next masterclass and our Tadamon talks, one thing you can do is to sign up for our Tadamon newsletter so we can keep you updated. The next Tadamon talk, which is a webinar, it's a short webinar of about 1 hour, is going to concern a new program that we just launched. It's the Tadamon Grant Program for CSOs, and it might be of interest to some of you who have joined us here. I'm just going to share a link to the Tadamon website where you can find a little bit more of information about it. We still don't have the exact date, but if you follow us, if you follow our website and our newsletter, you'll be sure to get information about that. So thank you for everyone for joining us and staying with us, even when we've gone overboard. Thanks so much.